A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
In just a moment, Autolite presents Suspense with Jimmy Cagney.
Hello, tonight I understand we have an Autolite Suspense special. Every bit as special as your star performance as the Autolite Resistor Spark Plug Maestro.
Is that a plug for me or for my favorites Autolite Resistor Spark Plugs, Hap?
Well, with no offense to either, Harlow, it's neither. Tonight, Jimmy Cagney and Autolite and Suspense are dramatizing one of our great American tragedies. It's so tremendous a problem it warrants our entire nation warring against its grimness and the Grim Reaper who is its symbol. Tonight's suspense story will remind you to drive carefully behind Autolite Resistor Spark Plugs or any other, Harlow.
Then let's join the Autolite audience and listen.
Suspense. Autolite and its 60,000 dealers and service stations bring you radio's outstanding theater of thrills. Starring tonight, Mr. James Cagney in Anton Leader's production of No Escape, a tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
The only thing I can do now is tell you how it happened, without any bunk. I don't care what you've heard or read about me. I'm not a devil or a mad dog. I don't know what people think happens to a fella. Do they think all of a sudden I turned into stone? I'm no different than anybody else. If I don't eat, I get hungry. If I cut myself shaving, I bleed. I'm just like the next guy, and that's the whole idea. It happened to me, sure, but it would have happened to anybody. It could have happened to you. It was supposed to have been one of them days you circle on the calendar with a red pencil. You see, with a little town like ours, 23 miles from the big city, right on the main highway, we get the speed artists going both ways. Yeah, and every couple of days they manage to leave something behind to remember them by. Like a kid with a broken back or, well, you get the idea. So a couple of years ago, the Chamber of Commerce started a safety campaign to name the safest driver of the year. Something to kind of keep the guys on their toes. And this year, the fellow they chose for the award was yours truly. And tonight was the big doings with a few well-chosen words from me, a lad who was a public speaker, was a wonderful bus driver. I got to the house a little after 6. Teddy, my kid brother, was just leaving.
Hiya, big shot.
Hello.
Ladies and gentlemen, in this corner, the world's champion driver.
That's me, all right.
Hey, that's a swell picture of you in the paper. You don't look so bad for an older man.
Right, or I'll beat your ears in.
Say, you've called to say you should wear your blue suit and try to look human. That I would like to see.
Me, too.
Sorry, I can't wait, though. I'm late for a date. I'll see you in the morning, and you can tell me how you slaved.
All right, Ted. So long. I gave myself the works. Shower, shave, the blue suit, like the lady said. Eve looked after me like I was at least 5 years old. Well, I didn't mind a bit. Ever since Ma died in 42, I kept the house going for Teddy, because a kid needs something like that. But he was getting out of school in June, and then maybe Eve and I... Well, it was nice thinking about it. So nice that I guess I forgot all about the time that was passing. Yeah?
Look, slow motion. You should be halfway over here by now.
Okay, Eve, honey. Got the speech ready?
Yes, but if you don't get moving, you'll be making that speech to a bunch of empty chairs and dirty plates.
Yes, Mama. Be right over. Eve lived outside of town. I'd really have to step on it to pick her up and spend some time rehearsing the speech. I'd then get to the high school auditorium by 8. I got into the car, and I decided to take the canyon road through the hills where there wasn't any traffic. I could make better time that way. Now, wait just a second. Let me get my thoughts together. I got to get this part exactly right. You've got to see it just like it happened, or else it's all a waste of time. All right. I was on the canyon road that wound up through the steep hills, the wall of the mountain on one side of the road, and the deep canyon on the other, about 10 to 7, but already dark. Nobody on the road but me, so I stuck pretty close to the middle. And every turn, the scream of the tires. But I wasn't worried about that. 4 brand new tires, hardly a week old, and good brakes. I never take chances with things like that. Going about 50 miles an hour, maybe a little bit better. But I was all alone on the road, so what difference did it make? I was maybe 2/3 of the way up to the top, right where the road makes a wide curve. I remember I put a cigarette in my mouth, and I pushed the dashboard lighter in. I heard the lighter click, and I started reaching for it. And then a pair of headlights blazing out of nowhere. And then a screeching horn, a car coming the other way. I felt my inside double up like a fist. I slammed my foot on the brake, swung the steering wheel to the right. I didn't feel anything hit, and I thought, oh, God, it's going to be okay. I jammed on the emergency, jerked the door open. I looked back. The road was empty. I still heard the horn, though, but far away, and another sound, too, like a bunch of empty crates toppling over and over. And at first, it didn't register with me. For maybe half a second, I just stood there wondering what happened. Then I saw the reflection of the flame lighting up the whole canyon. I went to the side of the road and looked down. The car was about 500 feet below, burning. And the horn still blasting away, like the driver's body had fallen against it. I started down the canyon. It was almost straight down. I fell and I rolled, and I came to my feet again. Why didn't that horn stop? Why didn't it stop? And then it did stop. And I realized that I had stopped too. What was I waiting for? To get my wind, that's all. I went down another few feet. And then I stopped again, holding myself against the tree. Come on, Harry. Get going. No. What good would it do to go down there? I couldn't help whoever was in that car. It was too late. Nobody could help. Then far down the road, I saw another pair of headlights starting the long climb. I went back to my car. I told myself I was going for help. I drove on to the top of the hill. There was a little gas station up there that they'd have a phone. I was almost there. An old fellow in white overalls was putting around the pumps. I started slowing down. My whole life was about to be smashed. I'd have to tell them the truth, and what good would it do? What about Eve? What about my kid brother Teddy? What's more important than a man's own family? I reached the gravel driveway, the gas station. The old guy heard me coming and started straightening up. Now, I swung back onto the highway and pushed the accelerator to the floor. I got to Eve's house a little before 7:30. It was funny. I thought I was okay until I reached for the door handle. And then my fingers seemed to go dead, and my heart started going a mile a minute.
Harry? Is that you?
That's me. Sorry I'm late, Eve.
Where in heaven's name have you been? Honestly, if you aren't the most aggravating... Harry Graham. What? Huh? Look at you. You look like you've been run through a threshing machine.
Yeah, I know. Let's go in and out. I'll clean up a little.
Well, what in the world happened?
I had a flat tire. I had to change it on the road.
Flat tire? Oh, fine. All right, wait right here. I'll get the whisk broom. Of all things to happen tonight.
All right. Happen. Lay off, will you?
Harry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, don't just stand there. While I'm doing this, take your comb out and start combing your hair.
Took my comb out and turned toward the hall mirror. Funny. I didn't look any different than yesterday or the day before that. I was still Harry Graham. After he finished with me, we went back to the car. Get in.
I tell you what, you're so upset anyhow. Why don't you let me drive into town?
Okay, if you want to.
See, now, I turn left at the next block, don't I, for the Canyon Road?
Canyon Road?
Yes, we can save some time going that way.
No.
Huh?
No, I don't want to go to Canyon Road. I want you to go the regular way.
But we're going to be late.
Do what I tell you. I'll drive the car myself.
But, Harry, we always...
Do what I tell you, Eve.
All right. I'll have to bite my head off. What have you got against Canyon Road?
It's too dangerous at night.
Well, all I've got to say is that when they picked you for the safest driver of the year, Harry Graham, they really hit the jackpot.
We got to the high school auditorium just a couple of minutes late. But as it turned out, we weren't the only ones late. When we got to the main table, I saw that the chair next to mine was empty. Police Chief Blake, who was supposed to introduce me for my speech, hadn't showed up yet. Then when the dinner was ended, Chief Blake came through the door. and he looked awful. He went over to the chairman of the meeting and whispered something, pointing at me. And then he started for me, and I thought my heart would quit beating. I was looking for a way to escape, maybe when...
Hello, Harry.
Oh, hello, Chief. Hello.
Folks, please. I'm sorry I'm so late. I've just come from Canyon Road. Another terrible accident. Car went over the canyon. 4 people killed and burned. We still haven't gotten them out of the wreckage. It looks like they were forced off the road. Another dirty hit-and-run case. My boys are up there now looking for traces of this other car. I don't have to tell you that we're going to keep on looking till we find out who it was. That's why I had one of my boys bring me back to town here to this meeting tonight. Because now it's even more important to let a fellow like our friend Harry Graham here know we appreciate his good work and wish to the saints there were more like him. Yes, after what I just saw on Canyon Road, I'm really proud of Harry Graham.
For Suspense, Autolite is bringing you Mr. James Cagney in radio's outstanding theater of thrills, Suspense.
Hap, this show hits with the zing of a set of Autolite resistor spark plugs. It gets me right between the optics.
Oh, I've been doing a little research.
Yes?
The frigid facts on faulty driving should dispel the optical illusions of any automobile driver foolish enough to relax his vigilance for one single moment. Every 30 seconds, a man, woman, or child is injured on our streets or highways. This year, 32,300 people are doomed to death.
By Cornelius Hap, I never stopped to realize.
You know, Harlow, it takes 10 seconds and 336 feet to stop a car traveling at 60 miles an hour. That's why brains are more important than brakes. Why the man behind the wheel should beware of the speed at which he's driving. Why safe and sane are synonymous words to drivers who value their fellows' lives as well as their own.
In other words, Hap, just because Autolite resistor spark plugs give your car more pep, don't try to use all of it, eh?
Exactly, Harlow. But there's more. The Good Samaritan is the gracious guy or gal who not only knows and keeps the rules of the road, but also keeps his temper in his head when some bungling Benny gives him the road hog treatment.
Yes, Hap, it's sad but true that one right way to wrong driving is to always demand your highway rights. Be sure to be safe.
Right, Harlow. And now let's get back to Suspense.
And now, Autolite brings back to our Hollywood soundstage Mr. James Cagney as Harry in No Escape. A tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
I had to keep my eyes on the table. I couldn't even look at the chief as he stood there praising me. All I could see was that burning wreck at the foot of the cliff, and all I could hear was that awful horn blowing. I had to bite my lip to keep him screaming, I did it.
Harry. Harry.
What? Oh, what?
Open your peak, son. We'd like to hear a few words from you.
Look, Chief, folks, I don't think anybody wants to listen to me tonight. Please, let's forget it.
No, Harry? Now more than ever, we should hear what a fellow like you has to say.
Come on, Harry. Hey, but listen.
Go on, Harry.
Oh, well, all right. I'm afraid I'm no great Shakespeare as a speech maker. Just a lucky thing my girl's a good English teacher. I don't believe we should honor a man for safe driving any more than we should honor him because he's never killed anyone with a gun. When a man gets behind the wheel of a car, he doesn't give up his responsibilities to his fellow men. No one can escape the responsibility of being his brother's keeper, and that goes for.
Harry, what's
Listen
wrong?
to me. How can I stand up here and read a speech after what Chief Blake just told us? No, I can't do it. I'm sorry. I can't do it.
I guess Harry's right after all, folks. I guess maybe we just better call the meeting off. I know I've got to get back to Canyon Road as soon as I can.
Come on, Eve. Come on. Let's get out of here.
All right, honey.
Oh, Harry.
Yeah, Chief.
You can do me a big favor. Huh? Fellow brought me down here. Had to beat it right back to the accident.
Oh, so?
I've got to get back there myself right away. Can you give me a lift?
Well, I sure like to, Chief, but, well, I've got to get Eve home.
Well, you could take me home by the way of Canyon Road. We've gone that way before, honey.
But,
I'd be much obliged to you,
well,
Harry.
you see, Chief...
Harry.
Okay, let's go.
It's too bad the meeting had to end like this. But I have a hunch you feel like I do, Harry. Like you can't sit still till you find the rat who killed those people. Well, I promise you this, Harry. Whoever he is, we'll get him.
Yeah, wasn't that one for the book? Less than 2 hours after my accident with the other car going over into the canyon, I was back on Canyon Road. Only this time with Eve sitting behind me and the chief of police in back.
Harry, you don't mind, could you step on it a little bit? I promise you I won't give you a ticket.
Okay, Chief.
Honey, push the lighter in, will you?
Lighter?
For my cigarette.
Oh, sure. This speed better, Chief?
Fine.
Harry hates this road. I wanted him to take it earlier tonight.
Yeah, it's all right if you got good tires.
Oh, you don't have to worry about that. Had 4 brand new ones put on just last week. Oh, here's your light, Eve. Eve.
Huh? Oh. Thanks.
Her voice didn't sound right. And then I remembered. When I picked her up tonight, I told her the reason I was so messed up was that I'd had to change a tire. She was thinking about that now. I knew she was, trying to figure out why I'd lied to her. Nobody said anything after that. When we reached the part of the road just before it made the big bend, I started slowing down. I hope I got you here quick enough, Chief.
Yeah, you did fine.
Is this where it was?
Yeah, just around this bend.
Yeah, that's right.
But how did...
Huh?
Nothing.
Again, I said the wrong thing. What was the matter with me? How was I supposed to know that accident was around the bend? I was cutting my own throat, but now I'd made the turn, and there was the red flag burning on the road, and a big crash truck at the edge of the canyon, and police cars blocking the highway.
Just pull over the side, Harry.
Okay.
Now, they're coming down there, Fraser. Hold on, Chief. You're ready to start bringing them up soon.
That's a walkie-talkie he's working with?
Yeah. Keeps contact with the men down the canyon. Say, Harry, why don't you come along with me and really see how we work here?
Oh, thanks, but I've got to get Eve on home. The school teacher's got to get up early. Isn't that right, baby?
I don't mind waiting if you'd like to stay.
Huh?
Yes, come on, Harry.
Oh, but...
I don't mind waiting, Harry.
Now it was me against all of them. Oh, I was sick about that car down there in the canyon, those 4 bodies inside. But, well, nothing could change that now. And I was fighting for my own life. And they wouldn't break me down. I stood with my foot on the bumper, and Chief Blake leaning against the fender of my car while his boys gave him their reports about the hit-and-run car. And it didn't bother me a bit.
Oh.
2 of them told about the plastic cast they made of a tire mark they found on the road. Does it help you any, Chief?
Not much, Harry. New tire. A lot of people have new tires. You, for instance.
Yeah. I kicked my new front tire for them, kicked it hard. They brought over an old fellow in white overalls. The guy in the service station where I'd almost turned in to report the accident. The chief asked him if he thought the car he'd seen was a hit and run.
It must have been just about that time, you know. The way this fella skedoodled away for no reason at all. I don't know what kind of a car it was, though. A black sedan, I'd say.
Like this one, maybe?
Well, might be that. But there's too dark to be sure.
Well, first thing tomorrow, I'm going to get myself a green convertible. And everybody got a good laugh out of that, but I would have to be careful. Mustn't go too far. It was me against all of them, and I felt the kind of excitement a guy might get from walking a tightrope. Thinking back now, sure seems screwy, but that's how I felt. And maybe that is the worst thing that happens to a guy in my spot. The way it turns you into a wild animal against the world.
Chief Blake.
Hey, yeah, Charlie.
It was the fellow with the walkie-talkie over near the crash truck.
We're ready to start bringing up the bodies.
Okay. Come on, Harry. Let's go over.
Something flopped coldly in my stomach, and then lay still. This was the test. If they didn't break me down now, they could never do it, never in a million years. All the people who'd come up from the town started gathering around the crash truck. I wanted to run and never stop running. But I didn't move. And just then, the first body swung into view. And you could hear everyone in the crowd suck in his breath. And I bit down hard on my lip till I tasted blood. A brown blanket wrapped neatly around something, and then the bundle rested on the ground. And everyone seemed to edge away from it like it could hurt them. And the cable went down into the valley again. And then there was a second bundle. And then there was a third. And then a fourth. And over like a drum beat, like a prayer, I told myself they wouldn't break me down. And then someone pushed forward from the crowd. Joe Mandel, the little tailor. He seemed shy and embarrassed, as though he had no business being here.
Chief Blake.
Huh? Oh, yeah, Joe.
My boy, Philip, he didn't come home for supper tonight.
You want to look?
Well, you know how a woman is. Rose will feel better if I tell her, okay, I looked and it wasn't... Well, you know.
Oh, all right, Joe. Doesn't hurt none.
Thank you. No. No. I'd better go back to my Rose.
Sorry, Joe. Wait a minute.
Yes?
Do you know who Phil was going to be with tonight?
His best friend was Mike Roebuck. They were always together. The Goldust twins, everybody called them.
Thanks, Joe.
Excuse me, Chief. I must go to Rose now.
Fraser.
Yes, Chief.
Get back to town. Go to the Roebucks. Don't tell them anything is wrong. Just see if Mike's home.
Okay.
I couldn't take any more. I started back for the car. My legs felt like they weighed a ton. I heard a sudden movement in the crowd behind me.
Oh, no! Oh, my baby!
They wouldn't break me down. They wouldn't break me down. I opened the car door. And Eve was there. I'd almost forgotten her. And I'm sure she knew the truth.
They brought up all four?
Yeah.
Harry.
I don't want to hear anything now. I'm taking you home.
Wait, Harry.
Listen, I'm telling you.
Kiss me, Harry.
What?
Hold me and kiss me. I'm such a stupid fool. Hold me.
All right. Now stop it.
Harry, if you knew what's been going through my mind.
Okay. Stop it.
A stupid fool. And then when I saw you come back to the car, the look on your face. Oh, Harry, how could I have ever thought...
No, all right. Now, we'll talk about it later.
I'll never talk about it again. Never, Harry.
So, it was all over with. I was going to be okay. God, I wasn't proud. I felt rotten and sick. And now that it was all over, the strength ran out of me like water running out of a glass. But what good would it have been to crucify myself? It wouldn't have changed anything. I wasn't a bad guy. It could have happened to anybody. And now I was going to be able to take care of my own. Eve and my kid brother Teddy. Was that a bad guy? A fellow who wanted to do right for his family? I started the car. Then I put in gear, and then looking at me through the windows was Chief Blake, signaling me to wait. I turned the key off. Well, whatever it was, I was very tired. Come on out, Harry. But I've got to get Eve home.
Come on out of the car.
But,
Harry, do like I tell you. Come with me.
What do you want?
Come with me. When you drove up here tonight, I didn't think it would end like this.
You know about it?
You, of all people, Harry.
Listen, you've got to believe me.
Shouldn't have happened to a fella like you.
You've got to hear my side.
Right here, Harry.
Huh? Huh? What do you...
Take a look at this fourth body.
Why should I?
Pull the blanket back, Harry.
Oh. No. No. Daddy. Daddy! That's it. The whole works. I don't care what you heard or read in the papers. That's the story, just like it happened. No bunk. And thinking back, I guess I kind of hit the nail on the head in that speech that I made that night. You know, that part about no man can ever escape the responsibility of being his brother's keeper.
Thank you, James Cagney, for a magnificent performance. Mr. Cagney will return in just a moment.
Well, Hap, after that performance of Jimmy Cagney's and your heartfelt expressions on the rights and wrongs of the driving man, it's hard to switch the conversation to Autolite resistor spark plugs.
Well, Harlow, I'm sure you'll find a way.
Yes, I think I'll just say, friends, switch to a set of Autolite resistor spark plugs just as quickly as you can swing into a service station. When you replace your narrow gap spark plugs with wide gap Autolite resistor spark plugs, your car will idle smoother, give you better luck with lean gas mixtures, actually save you gas dollars. What's more, Autolite resistor spark plugs cut down spark plug interference with radio and television reception. Switch to Autolite resistor spark plugs today. And remember, Autolite means spark plug.
Ignition-engineered resistor spark plug.
Autolite means batteries.
Stay full batteries.
Autolite means ignition system.
The lifeline of your car.
And now here again is Mr. James Cagney.
It's always a pleasure to appear on Suspense, but I was especially pleased when Tony Leader asked me to do tonight's story. That's because I feel strongly about the kind of thing that happened to Harry Graham. I believe that any person who gets behind the wheel of a car assumes a great responsibility to himself, to his family, to his fellow men. That one moment of carelessness or recklessness or drunkenness can mean a lifetime of pain and misery for someone. And it might be you or me. Yes, when you're driving an automobile, we are our brother's keeper. Over the holiday season and all the time, drive carefully. Next week on radio's outstanding theater of thrills, Herbert Marshall will appear in a story with a Christmas atmosphere. Another study in
Suspense.
James Cagney is now appearing in the photoplay of William Saroyan's prize stage hit, The Time of Your Life. Copies of tonight's suspense play, No Escape, by Larry Marcus, will be available for educational use by groups interested in highway safety. They may be obtained by writing Suspense, the Columbia Broadcasting System, Hollywood, California. Music was composed by Lucian Morawek and conducted by Lud Gluskin. The entire production was under the direction of Anton M. Leader. In the coming weeks, Suspense will present such stars as Ronald Coleman, Robert Montgomery, Dana Andrews, and Frank Sinatra. Make it a point to listen each Thursday to Suspense, radio's outstanding theater of thrills. And next Thursday, same time, hear Herbert Marshall.
This is the Autolite Suspense Show. All right, Mr. Wilcox.
Autolite and CBS wish to thank the radio editors and columnists of America for electing Suspense as the best mystery show in the annual balloting conducted by Motion Picture Daily for the magazine Fame.
Good night. Switch to Autolite.
This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Art Jobelers plays. A Story in the Night. Tonight, 3 short plays, written with tongue-in-cheek. First, Back to the Indians.
I had a dream last night. I dreamt I met an Indian, an American Indian. He was dressed as Indians used to dress a very long time ago. Breechcloth, with feather headdress, and ferocious war paint. And he was angry. Oh, very angry. He waved a blood-stained tomahawk at me and said,
"You, white man, you cheat me."
I was flabbergasted. I said, I cheated you? I've never even seen you before.
Cheat my brothers. 100 moon ago. Cheat my brothers. Take away hunting ground.
I said, no, that wasn't I. I never took your land away. The pioneers, yes, the pioneers. They did it, not I. He didn't say anything for a moment. Then he lifted his tomahawk high and started to come closer. He said,
"I kill you."
I said, "No, wait, I'll give it back to you. Your land, I'll give it back to you. Come with me. I'll give it back to you. Come on." And then, in a moment, I wouldn't fool you, we were there. Yes, right there at the land. I said, "Here, you see, Indian? There's your land. Your land and better than it was, see? Better." He didn't say a thing, just looked around. And then a man was there, a very well-fed, well-dressed man, with 100 checkbooks in one hand and 100 gilt-edged bonds in the other. He was smoking a very fat and expensive cigar. He didn't even seem to see us, me or the Indian, just sort of stared right through us. And he was talking. Yeah, talking to no one and everyone.
The way I look at it is like this. No man's got an excuse to be out of a job. No, sir. Take 'em all off relief, I say. Make 'em go out and dig up a living. That's what I did 40 years ago. What do you mean times have changed? Why, when I went out in that timber country, I didn't have a dime in my pocket. Waded right in, dollar here, dollar there. Bought up some land, cut down the timber. Bought up some more, cut down the timber. Hey, what's that you say? So now it's all cut down. Well, who's talking about that? That's not the point. I am saying that a man that wants a job can always get a job. Where? Well, plenty of jobs. Just pitch in and look around. Yeah, smart fella can always make $1. What if you're not smart? Well, that's not the point. Nobody's to blame but you if you're out of work. But the plant went out of business. Well, so what? Go someplace else. Where? Well, that's not the point. The point is, nobody's got a right to be out of work. Take them off relief, I say. Let them dig up their own living. That's what I think.
And then the man was gone. Just the Indian and I left. And I said, "Look, Indian, your land. I tell you, it's better than it was, your land." He didn't answer, just stared. And then a woman, a handsome woman, dressed like Park Avenue, no doubt about it. She was there. And she didn't seem to see us either. Just stood there, talking to herself.
Oh, I really don't know why you talk and write about such people and such things. Really, I don't. trouble enough in the world without looking for it. Well, I mean, with all the sort of things that are going on, why talk about things like that? I haven't looked at a newspaper in a year. Why bother? It's all the same. People in trouble. Well, what's that to me? People are going to starve. Well, let them do it quietly. Why talk about it? The poor we always have with us. So let them go their way. Why should we bother ourselves? Not the sort of people worth bothering about anyway. Looking at them makes one feel so, well, disagreeable. And I don't like to feel disagreeable. I just don't like it. So I say, well, why talk and write about such people and such things? See no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. That's the way to get along. Just say everything's going to be all right, and it'll be all right. I don't know why you talk and write about such people and such things.
Then she was gone, and the Indian and I were alone again. He looked at me, and I said, "Don't look at me like that. It's your land, yours." No answer. And then another voice, another man talking, not seeing us, just talking to himself.
Why shouldn't I make the money? I'm asking you, why shouldn't I make the money? I don't, someone else will do it. That's the way I look at it. So, all right, they turn the stuff into bombs and bullets. So what? People have been killing each other off since time began. So what's that got to do with me? I don't sell it to them, someone else will. Ethics? What the devil does that mean? Money in the bank, that means something, believe me. Use the stuff for killing women and kids? Stop talking like a radical. Use your head. Now's the time to make the... Why shouldn't I make the money, I'm asking you? Why shouldn't I make the money?
And then enough. I said, "Indian, listen. You wanted your land. Well, I can't give it back to you. There's houses on it and factories that make good things, and schools for the children to learn how to live better, and football stadiums, baseball parks, and hospitals. I can't give the land back to you. Can't we compromise?"
Huh?
I mean, instead of the land, I'll give you some of the people. Yeah, the people. You just saw 3 of them. I'll give you some of the people. For a moment, he didn't answer. And then, in my dream, you know what that Indian said to me? He said...
We don't want him.
And now the second of 3 satirical plays. Its title, The Day the Sun Exploded.
It started out as a wonderful day. All over the world, the weather was unbelievably perfect.
Where it was daylight, it was the clearest, bluest daylight in the memory of mankind.
Where it was night, the sky was cloudless, and the moon and the stars gave light bright almost beyond belief.
And as all mankind shared the blessings of perfect weather, so also they shared a common, all-encompassing interest. For on this day, men of all nations grouped around their radios and televisors, watching and listening to an epical event which was taking place in the great council hall of Geneva.
Yes, epical indeed was this meeting, for in the great vaulted chamber sat 1,000 men of many tongues and many colors, of many temperaments, many ideologies, the chosen representatives of their nations, come together in council to meet and discuss a cause close to the heart of every man.
And as each representative rose and spoke, from Tokyo to Melbourne, from Cape Town to Moscow, from Santiago to Nome, the ears and the eyes and the hearts of all mankind were with them.
Black men, white men,
yellow men, brown men,
red men,
listening and hoping.
Indo-European,
Arab and Berber,
Mongolian,
Malayan and Polynesian,
American Indian,
Dravidian, African,
Australian and Papuan,
hoping and listening.
Protestant,
Roman Catholic,
Jew and Mohammedan,
Confucian and Buddhist,
Orthodox Catholic,
Brahmin and heathen.
All of them listening and hoping.
The next speaker, Signor Arati.
Citizens of the world, I salute you. In the name of my people, I salute you. This is a great day. This is a day when the strong heart is glad. This is a day when a strong heart shall sing. For today, for the first time in the history of the world, all men become like a blood brothers. Well, too many years, my people have had wars. Too many wars. We have had too many wars. You have had too many wars. My people have had wars because for too many years we have had a crazy dream. A dream to have again a great empire. Our empire. The empire of the Caesars. Now, finish. No more. Today, my people said to all people, you are our brothers. We join you forever. The next speaker, the Right Honorable Mr. Walters.
Gentlemen of the world, as a representative of my government, I bring you most cordial greetings and felicitations. This is indeed an historical movement, this joining together of all the races of mankind for the common good. Great was the moment when the Magna Carta was signed. As great indeed were the moments when the various constitutions were signed. But I say to you that this, indeed, is the greatest of moments. This moment of submersion of nationalistic ambition for the international good. My country, for years, has fought many wars. Our ancestors thought some of them righteous. But we, of this more enlightened time, renounce this shame forever. And we thrust behind us forever the imperialistic ambitions which have cost us the blood of our youth for so many centuries. Yes, from this moment henceforward, we give our empire to the world.
Attention, please. The next speaker, Prince Matui.
Honorable friends, we are a small nation, yet our influence has been felt throughout the world. But this influence, unfortunately, has been aggressive. Today, I am happy to say all that is ended. We renounce the era of our fathers. We renounce belief that our island is the seat of godliness, and we join in this great idea that all men are of God, and all men are one, and all men can live as one in brotherhood and happiness. Kansai.
And now, another representative of a great people, Monsieur Renac.
Messieurs et dames, I speak for a nation. Many have said this is a momentous occasion, but perhaps to no nation is it a greater occasion than it is to mine, which for many centuries has sat behind great barriers repelling invaders of our sovereignty. But today we strike down these barriers with our own hands, and we throw wide our arms and say to you, we are your brothers. We, a nation of individualists, a nation that has known hatred, turns from individualism and hatred to solidarity and love with all mankind. In the name of my nation, I salute the fraternity of mankind.
The time grows short. A few words from the representative of a great democracy. My friends, I stand here before you alone. And yet, I assure you, 120 million of my countrymen are with me here in spirit.
For many years, our national policy has been to mind our own business and to keep our powder dry. That was an excellent policy when nations were at each other's throats. But today, I stand here to tell you that we have renounced this policy. We have renounced it because we have outgrown such beliefs, even as nations have outgrown the belief that the only manner in which to settle disputes is by force. As a mature people, we reach out beyond the oceans which surround us and say to all of you, we are as you. You are as we are as one. We join in this great international movement without fear, without reservation. United we stand, all of us, forever.
Attention, please! Attention! The moment is almost at hand for the final signature on this historic document. A closing word by the representative of another great people, Herr Gamling.
Wiederschaft, brotherhood is a noble work. I now bring you this word as a representative of my people. For many years, my people have walked as one, perhaps bowed their head as one, regimented in the belief that we must work together and believe together. Some of the things we have believed, I stand here to tell you, have been false. It has taken many years of leadership, but now we know they are false. There is in the blood no right of leadership. Leadership is not in the blood. It is in the heart and the minds. This day we turn our blood into the great bloodstream of all mankind. White, yellow, black, the blood is the same. Christian, Jew, or heathen, the blood is the same. All are brothers, and today all stand together in peace forever. Peace forever! 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 Gentlemen! Gentlemen, if you please! Gentlemen! Attention, please! It grows late. Attention, please. We have been in session many days. All of us are weary and anxious, I am certain, to return to our native homes. So now, let us, without further delay, turn to our final task, the happy one of ratifying this great international treaty which forevermore removes all barriers between nations, which makes of us the United Nations of the world, joined together for all eternity in common brotherhood, in everlasting peace. Our vote will be by acclamation. All those in favor of this great covenant will rise.
And that was the day the sun exploded.
And now, the last of our three sardonic plays. By very insistent popular request, we repeat, The Laughing Man. The time, 20,000 years from tomorrow.
laughing. I know it isn't polite, but I can't help it. The funniest thing. Wait until you hear it. Absolutely the funniest thing. Yes, I'll tell you. A hoax. He tried to play a hoax on me, telling me it was an authentic record of their times and expecting me to believe. Wait a minute. I'll start from the beginning. Really, I will, and then you'll laugh with me. I know you will. Well, it all started like this. An old man comes to my study a little while ago, a package under his arm, and he tells me he's a student of the past. Past master of the humbug, that's what he meant. Wait until you hear it. So he has this package under his arm, and he says to me breathlessly,
Sir, I brought you the most wonderful relic of the past the modern world has ever known.
Really? I said. What are you talking about, and who are you? And he answers,
a lonely traveler, one who wanders in far-off places.
Far-off places? Well, that's what he told me. So I said, and is this what you're bringing me from one of these far-off places? And he nods his old head like a strutting rooster, and he says,
yes, indeed. You are the greatest living scholar of the history of the old world. So it is fitting that I bring this to you.
Indeed, I said. And what have you got, and where did you find it? And he says,
I was walking through the mountains beneath which the great city once stood.
Well, I said. Well? And he said,
as you know, thousands of years ago, there was another civilization that reached great heights and then...
I know, I said. Certainly you're not going to teach me history, my ancient friend. And he said,
oh, no, indeed. I only meant to say what I found high in the mountains. It is a written record of that civilization. The first written record ever to be found.
Oh, for a moment, I couldn't breathe. I just looked at him. I said, have you gone out of your head with age, old man? Nothing is left of that prehistoric time. First, the sea covered them when the dark planet swung close, and then the molten rock thrust up. It's only our theory that men had a civilization here before us. And for answer, he tore the paper off the package, and he said,
look, these papers, reality, I tell you, high in the mountains, inside a piece of alabaster that must have protected it from the ravages of time, miraculously spewed out from the earth when the mountains rose up through the land. Look, sir, and read. A record of their times. A record of the ways of men 20,000 years before our civilization came into being.
Yes. He said that, and I took the book. I took it in my hand and read. You know, for a moment, I almost believed the fraud. Strange formations of letters and strange words and meaning, but clear enough to me. Clear enough. The clearest fraud a faker ever tried to perpetrate. Let me tell you what was in that historical book. He tried to tell me he'd found the old humbug. Listen to this. First, the book said that... Wait till you hear this. First, the book said that the men of that past civilization fought about the land. You don't understand what I mean. I mean the world. They fought each other, maimed each other, bled each other over who owned what piece of the world. Did you ever hear such nonsense? They knew how large the world was. They knew how many men were in it. But instead of dividing it up fairly or all owning together as one, they fought each other. Yes, bloody wars for years and years. Did you ever hear such a humbug history? Did you? Did you? Yes, and that isn't all. The book said they fought each other over race. Yes, race. Race. The book said the word means the difference between men. And then the book said that all men had the same origin, and yet they killed each other over a difference they admitted didn't even exist. What a fraud, that book. What a fraud. Yes, you know, a man walked that world for a little while, and he said, "For the glory of God, peace on earth." And he spoke the truth, and men listened and said, "We believe," and then went out to murder with bright music playing. Music! Yes! Music! And then a little man arose who said, "For the glory of the state, war on earth." And he spoke lies, and men knew there were lies, and he knew they knew, but again, they went out to murder with the music playing. And here's the funniest. Other men saw what was happening, and they said, "Let them kill. It is not to our interest." And the flame of murder came closer, and still they said, "It is not our interest." As if the house were afire, and they said, "We will not use water until we ourselves are burning." And here's the climax. The preposterous book said that these crazy people who filled the earth in those days had machines with which to fly through the air. Yes, really, through the air. Imagine the wonder if it were true. Speeding through the air like birds. Great, glistening machines to carry men to new wonders. But guess what the fraud of a book said they did with them? You'll hold your sides when you hear this one. They loaded them up with horrible, tearing things and flew up over the crowded places and dropped them. Yes, dropped them. Believe me. That's what this humbug history tried to make me believe was the truth. Men struggled for centuries. They studied, they toiled, rivers of heartache, at least the book said so, trying to make a healthier world for their children to live in, and then they threw poison clouds down from the sky and killed them off in tens of thousands. Killed the children. Isn't it all a joke?
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight's 3 short satirical plays were especially written for radio by Arch Oboler. The first play, Back to the Indians, featured Harold Perry, Ed Max, and Margaret Hyman. The second play, The Day the Sun Exploded, brought you Frank Graham, Leo Cleary, John Fee, and Harold Perry. And the final play, The Laughing Man, featured Lou Merrill. Next week, a new play, special to Hollywood. A story of the strangest airplane ride since time began. The leading role will be taken by Miss Gail Page. Arch Oboler's plays. A Story in the Night. Arch Oboler's plays are presentations of the National Broadcasting Company, Incorporated. Tonight's play came to you from Hollywood's Radio City. This is the National Broadcasting Company.
Unsolved Mysteries. Out of deference to persons who may still be living, character names in some of these true unsolved mysteries have been changed. Let justice be done though the heavens fall was a favorite phrase on the lips of the citizens of New York in 1898. And while it can be admitted that the heavens of society did fall, justice most certainly was not done when a jury found Ronald P. Moyer guilty of the Athletes' Club murders. The scene is the home of Mrs. Johns in New York, and the time a few minutes after breakfast on the morning of December 28th. Mrs. Johns' married daughter walks into the breakfast room and greets Mr. Cornell, a distant relative who boards with the two ladies.
Ah, good morning, Betty. How are you this morning?
Oh, I'm all right, Mr. Cornell, but Mother's got a splitting headache. I was going to ask if you could stay with her while I go down to the drugstore for some seltzer.
Why, certainly. Oh, but wait. I have some seltzer in my room.
Oh, you have?
Yes. Someone sent it to me Christmas Day for a joke, I think. It was sent to the Athletes' Club. We'll go to my room and get it. You get some water, Betty.
Yes, I will. Have you been to the drugstore already, Betty? Oh, I didn't have to go, Mother. Mr. Cornell has some seltzer in his room. How's your headache?
Oh, terrible, Betty. I don't know when I've had such a headache.
Come in. Oh. Here's the water, Mr. Cornell.
Too bad that you're feeling badly, Mrs. Johns, but we'll fix you up all right. There. Now then, Mrs. Johns, just drink this down.
Oh. It tastes very bitter, doesn't it?
Oh, it shouldn't. Let me taste it. It does a little.
Oh. Oh.
Well, what's the matter?
Oh, Betty.
Yes, dear?
Betty, get a doctor.
My goodness.
Get a doctor. Oh, I'm dying.
Oh, Mother.
Oh, I know I'm dying. Oh.
In a few moments, a doctor arrived, but Mrs. Johns died without recovering consciousness. 1 hour later, a detective inspector and the sergeant of police arrive at the house and discuss the murder with the doctor.
You're positive, Doctor, that this is murder?
Certain. Cyanide of mercury doesn't get into a bottle of seltzer by accident.
And whoever it was tried to kill Cornell, since the bottle of seltzer was mailed to him.
I'm not so sure that he'll live as it is. He took a taste of the stuff, and I've ordered him to bed at the club.
You didn't make any test for cyanide of mercury, did you?
I tasted it, and that was enough.
Say, look here.
What is it?
A brown paper wrapper addressed to Mr. Cornell, care Athletes' Club. Looks like the wrapper that bottle of seltzer was mailed in.
Good. That's our first clue. We'll check the handwriting with that of the members of the club. I'll bet we'll find this was an inside job.
Right. We'll find that somebody quarreled with Cornell. You mark my words.
The days pass. The police make no move, but the newspapers make no effort to avoid actions for libel. They openly accuse Ronald P. Moyer, an ex-member of the club, of knowing something of the murder. Ronald Moyer, accompanied by his father, goes to the police, only to be told that there is nothing against him. But rumors continue. Names and reputations are dragged through the mire. Openly, it is stated that only Moyer's influential friends are keeping him from being arrested. And 6 months later, the inspector and the sergeant question various witnesses they've rounded up.
Bring in the woman, Watts.
She's the one that'll fix the case, Inspector.
Now, lady, take a look at this picture. Is that the man you saw mailing the package the day before Christmas?
Yes, that's the man.
What'd I tell you, Inspector?
You'd go on the witness stand and identify Moyer as the man you saw?
Yes, sir, I would.
All right, you can go now. But stick around where the sergeant can find you if he wants you.
Yes, sir.
Now, let's check this report before we take it to the grand jury.
Okay.
Come in. Oh, hello, Doc. We're just going over this report again before we take it to the grand jury.
Well, first of all, we find that a man by the name of Burke has a fight with Moyer. In a few months, he dies. The doc here has the body exhumed, and an analysis shows that Burke died of cyanide of mercury.
That's right. His own doctor thought it was heart failure after a bad cold. But even then, he was suspicious that there was some different cause of death. But of course he had no reason to suspect foul play.
Now, the next thing, Cornell gets this seltzer for Christmas. He gives it to Mrs. John. She dies. Cornell is sick for weeks after tasting it. Again, cyanide of mercury.
And again, Cornell is involved in a row with Malyer. A row that results in Malyer resigning from the club.
Then I find that Malyer has a private box for receiving mail, and he signed for the box in Cornell's name. Almost as though he was laying the groundwork for blaming Cornell for the deaths at the club.
Then you think that Malyer was going to poison the club members one by one?
I'm not saying that. Let the grand jury draw their own conclusion.
And we have this woman who says she saw Malyer mail the package the day before Christmas. Yes, I guess that's the case in a nutshell.
Sure, an open and shut case. The grand jury will bring an indictment on this evidence.
July, 6 months after the murder, Ronald P. Malyer is leaving his place of business when a plainclothes man taps him on the shoulder.
Yes? Your name is Ronald P. Malyer?
Yes, it is.
I'm a police officer, and I have a warrant here for your arrest.
Warrant for my arrest? What on earth for?
For the murder of one Adam Burke, for the murder of one Sarah Johns, and for the attempted murder of one Samuel Cornell.
But this is preposterous. It's ridiculous. I went to the police department when my name was first mentioned in the newspapers. That's 6 months ago.
I'm sorry, Mr. Malyer, but the grand jury has indicted you on the charges I've just read.
The evidence as gathered by the police was presented, and the jury found Ronald Malyer guilty. But now that the voice of public clamor had been listened to, the same people who had demanded Malyer's arrest began to refer to him as a persecuted boy. The arrest as an outrage, the trial as a farce. In some of these, the Court of Appeals agreed for an order to retrial. And at his second trial, after a year and a half in the death house, Malyer was found not guilty. With the discharge of Malyer, all activity in the case seemed to drop. And since Malyer was not guilty, the classic mystery of the century became an unsolved mystery. But we believe we know the answer. And in just a moment, you will hear a solution to the Athletes' Club murders.
We'll be right back with more of our Unsolved Mystery after this short break. You're listening to When Radio Was.
Ladies and gentlemen, inasmuch as any solution must of necessity be supposition, liberties of time, place, and characters have been taken with the solution for which you have been waiting. The scene is the home of a famous criminologist who states his opinions on the Athletes' Club murders.
I most certainly do not think that Malyer was guilty. In fact, most lawyers to whom I have spoken about the case are agreed that the grand jury should never even have returned an indictment, that only public clamor induced them to do so.
But you must admit that the case as presented looked very black against Malyer.
As presented, yes. But look here. The day before Christmas, and a woman goes on the stand and testifies that she paid particular attention to Malyer mailing a package. Do you honestly think that you, 6 months afterwards, could identify persons you saw mailing packages at Christmas time and in New York?
No, that seems a bit unusual, I'll admit. But what about the handwriting?
The same as all handwriting. For every expert who will testify that handwriting is identical, you can find another expert who will deny that they're identical. And both are quite honest. To me, handwriting is only an additional incentive to follow up a clue. I personally want a whole lot more in the way of evidence to vote guilty.
Well, when you remove the woman's evidence and the handwriting, you really don't have much of a case left, do you?
No. The killing of these persons by cyanide of mercury does justify the belief that someone was trying to kill the members of the Athletes' Club. But that in no way is indicative of the belief that it was Malyer.
Yes, I see your point. The jury and the police accepted the evidence pointing to murder as evidence against Malyer. An absolutely unfair attitude, but...
Yes?
What is your explanation?
You followed the case step by step from the sending of the seltzer through the mail?
Yes.
But who told you that seltzer was poison?
What?
Who ever told you that seltzer was poison?
But it was analyzed.
I know it was analyzed. But did analyzing it prove that it was poisoned when it was mailed? Of course not. That seltzer lay in Cornell's desk at the club for 3 days before he took it to his apartment and gave it to Mrs. Johns. Everyone else jumped to the same conclusion that you did. No one ever gave a thought to the real murderer. The man who hated Cornell, slipping into Cornell's office, cautiously opening the drawer of his desk, and placing the deadly cyanide in the seltzer crystals, pressing the cork back into the bottle, and slipping quietly away to his accustomed place at the club fireside. Ah, yes, my friend. That is how the Athletes' Club murders were committed.
By Jove, I never thought of that. I just accepted the fact that the seltzer was poisoned when it was mailed.
Yes, as did everyone else. No, there's no use trying to find out now who the murderer was. But if the investigators had ever found out who, besides Cornell, had access to Cornell's desk, the Athlete Club murders would never have been an unsolved mystery.
The Signal Oil Program, The Whistler. That whistle is your signal for the Signal Oil Program, The Whistler.
I am the Whistler, and I know many things, for I walk by night. I know many strange tales hidden in the hearts of men and women who have stepped into the shadows. Yes, I know the nameless terrors of which they dare not speak.
Yes, friends, it's time for the Signal Oil Program, The Whistler, rated tops in popularity for a longer period of time than any other West Coast program in radio history. And Signal gasoline is tops, too, tops in quality. It takes extra quality, you know, to give you extra mileage. And Signal is the famous Go Farther gasoline. So look for the Signal Circle sign in yellow and black that identifies independently operated Signal stations from Canada to Mexico. And now the Whistler's strange story. The Hangtree Affair.
It was boredom that got Lee Ryan into it in the first place. His train out of Chicago for the West Coast was moving slow, with further delays expected because of the snowstorms ahead. Yes, he was bored and impatient. His last business venture in Chicago hadn't paid off too well, and he looked forward to his arrival in California and the prospects of a deal worthy of his talent. Lee decided that the club car might help pass the time. It did. The car was crowded, and he found himself sitting with a talkative man who seemed to know many things about many people, including a number of their fellow passengers. He was a reporter, a man whom Lee had known casually over a period of years. A reporter who apparently loved to report, and he talked to Lee confidentially as if to his city editor.
Oh, you picked a great choo-choo, Lee. Yes, sir. I'm glad I'm getting off. You can carry on for me.
How do you mean?
Well, you can follow my boy, Jeff Larkin. There's no story there as far as my newspaper concerned. The city editor's washing it up.
Larkin? That sounds familiar.
Yeah, I bet he looks that way, too. Hey, right over there with that girl.
Oh, she's not bad.
Huh? Oh, she's just like all the rest. Hanging around him thinking he's going to get that money.
Money?
Oh, you didn't recognize him, eh? An ex-con. But I knew him when he was a big, big man.
In whose league?
Anybody's. Time it happened, he was the brain.
Yeah.
Well, that's what they say. He'd planned the robberies, and his partner, Noisy Nevins, pulled them off. Oh, great team, great team.
Noisy Nevins, huh? The nitroglycerin artist.
Yeah. Oh, Noisy could blow a safe door off clean as a housewife and open a can of peas.
Oh, sure, now I'm with you.
They used to work together. But the last big job they pulled, a $100,000 bank job. Larkin got careless. He also got 5 years.
Who got the $100,000?
Oh, it disappeared, and so did Nevins. That's why I've been tagging Larkin around ever since he walked out of that pen 6 months ago.
Your paper figured he'd meet Nevins, split the dough.
That's right. Only my paper was wrong. Larkin knows from nothing where that dough is.
And Noisy?
Oh, he's quiet now as they get. And permanent, too.
Oh.
Yeah, got that way about a month ago. I think it was an auto accident out in Frisco. It was too bad. Nevins was probably the only guy in the world who knew where that money was.
You figure he stashed it away somewhere?
Right. Absolutely right. $100,000, and it stays stashed.
Well, that poor girl wasting her time with Larkin. Somebody should tell her.
Yes, $100,000. Unmarked bills.
Negotiable as a mud puddle and a pogo stick.
Say, you know what's a funny thing? Why, when I was a kid, I could never manage one of those things.
Oh, no?
No.
Well, I was pretty good.
Oh, you kidding me?
Yeah. Well, I'll be seeing you, pal. Happy as scoop.
Well, don't worry about me. I'm getting off the next stop. My best to Larkin if you should run into him.
Yeah, I'll remember. And I just might run into him.
Interesting, isn't it, Lee? A man with $100,000. Only he doesn't know where it is. It was hidden away by a partner who's dead now. All very interesting. Yes. And you think about it a lot after you leave your reporter friend in the club car. Wonder if he's right. If that girl really is going to be disappointed. It's hours later that you feel the train grind to a stop. Glance out of your compartment to see that you've pulled onto a siding at a small town station.
Porter, what's wrong? Why are we stopping?
It won't be for long, sir. It's just the snow.
Oh, yes.
There's time to get off for a while if you want to. Some of the passengers are. We'll be here about an hour.
Oh, thank you. I don't think I'll bother.
Instead of leaving the train, you walk back to the observation platform. Stand there, looking off toward the few lights of the small, slumbering town of Springdale. You find yourself wondering about Jeff Larkin again and the girl. And then as the train is ready to move on, you see her, approaching alone from the direction of town. It's a chance to speak to her, isn't it, Lee? On impulse, you decide to take it. You start for the boarding platform at the end of the car and reach it as she comes up the steps.
Oh.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
It's all right.
Oh, no, you've dropped your purse. Here.
Please, never mind.
I insist.
You bend down quickly, begin to retrieve the articles that are spilled from her purse. One you can't help noticing. It's a picture postcard addressed to Mr. Jeff Larkin. General Delivery, Chicago.
Give me that. Give it to me.
Why, certainly. Here you are.
Sorry, but I'm in a hurry. Thank you very much.
Afraid your boyfriend might miss you?
My boyfriend? I know what you're talking about.
I'm sorry. I just thought you were kind of chummy with a fellow in the club car.
You're mistaken. Someone happened to sit with me because the car was crowded.
Oh, sure. That's happened to me, too. Forget it.
There's nothing to forget. Good night.
Night.
She wasn't very cooperative, was she, Lee? And you wonder why. Wonder also about the card addressed to Larkin. Why she got so excited about it. The next morning, following the stop at Denver, you find out.
Yes, conductor?
I'm sorry to bother you, Mr. Ryan, but we've been questioning all the passengers.
Questioning them? About what?
Oh, I'm sorry. This is Lieutenant Knowles, Denver Police.
Lieutenant?
To explain quickly, Mr. Ryan, a man a few compartments down from you has been murdered.
On this train?
No, happened at a place called Springdale.
When we pulled into a siding, Mr. Ryan.
Oh, I remember. We stopped for about an hour.
Yeah, that's the place.
During that hour, the victim, a man named Jeff Larkin...
Larkin?
You know him?
Oh, no, I've heard of him, that's all.
I guess a lot of people have. Anyway, Larkin got off the train for some reason and never got back on. His body was found a short time later in an alley at the edge of town. He'd been shot.
Poor devil.
We've been trying to find someone who got off with him or talked to him just before. No luck so far.
But now, the young lady in 29, Miss Clinton, says she spoke to Larkin earlier in the club car. But that's the last she saw of him.
Oh, she didn't get off at Springdale?
No. She says she stayed in her compartment the whole time.
I see.
And you, Ryan?
Well, I walked back to the observation car. I was there, 20 minutes or so.
But you didn't observe anything.
Well, no, I'm sorry, Lieutenant. I didn't observe a thing.
With the prologue of the Hangtree Affair, the Signal Oil Company is bringing you another strange story by The Whistler. Recently, I was looking at one of the newly announced 1949 cars. As the salesman pointed out the air conditioner and the front seat that drops back to make a bed, I couldn't help thinking it's the trend of really modern products to do more than is primarily expected of them. Just as Signal Premium Compounded Motor Oil does so much more than just lubricate. Of course, Signal Premium has 100% pure paraffin base, the finest money can buy. But in addition, Signal Premium Oil contains scientific compounds that go to work inside your motor, doing jobs that regular oil alone can never do. One compound, for instance, washes out accumulated carbon gum and varnish. Another compound guards expensive bearings from corrosion. And still other compounds keep the oil from thinning and prevent excessive foaming. No wonder Signal Premium is the oil that guarantees a sweeter running motor. So next time you change oil, have your Signal dealer put in the modern type Signal oil that does so much more than just lubricate. Signal Premium Compounded Motor Oil. And now back to the Whistler.
Well, Lee, you don't have to wonder anymore about the girl you saw with Jeff Larkin. It all fits, doesn't it? The reporter's story about that $100,000 hidden away. Larkin's death in a deserted alley back in Springdale. The girl's claim that she didn't see Larkin leave the train. And that she herself didn't get off. You know different, don't you, Lee? And the knowledge gives you absolute confidence when you reach Los Angeles. Check into the same hotel that she does. And then half an hour later, call her room.
Hello?
Hello, Julie.
Who is this?
Oh, friend of yours, a good friend. We, met on the train.
The train? I didn't meet anyone who
Well, you met Jeff Larkin, Julie. You got real chummy. Like I once said.
Oh.
Well, you still there, Julie?
Yes.
Well, stay there, huh? I'm coming down to your room so we can talk.
Now, wait a minute.
Now, you wait a minute, Julie. That's all it'll take me. Well, the name is Lee Ryan, and Julie...
Yes.
I like my martinis very dry.
Well, don't expect too much, Mr. Ryan. I haven't any ice.
Don't give me that. So far, it's all you've had. Just, use that cold shoulder of yours. Have it right down.
I don't do this for everybody, Mr. Ryan.
I don't lie for everybody.
Really, you're mistaken about that.
Oh, that's so. Yeah, the drink looks good. I think yours looks better. Let's switch, shall we?
Casey, suits me.
Oh, good. Now, the business at hand, Julie.
Sounds terribly boring.
Oh, I'm not nearly as bored as I was when I started this trip. Things are beginning to look up. That's why I didn't tell that police detective that you got off that train. I couldn't resist a certain possibility.
Namely?
That you know something. Look, I don't care about Larkin. What were you after? What's that address unknown, Julie? That spot where Evan stashed that $100,000. Hey, I got it.
What have you got, Mr. Ryan?
The postcard, that picture on it. Someplace up north. Mother Lode Country, Silver City, wasn't it?
You're talking thick, Mr. Ryan.
Hey, what did you do? What did you put in this? In my drink? I'm getting dizzy. Julie!
I had you figured perfectly, smart boy. You shouldn't have switched seats with me. But you'll be all right.
Mr. Ryan? Mr. Ryan, are you all right? Should I get the doctor?
No, doctor. I'm okay. Where is she?
The young lady who called about you? She's gone, checked out.
Gone where?
She was going to catch a train, I believe. I'm not sure. She was just leaving her room when she saw you out here in the hall.
Well, give me a plane schedule. I want to go to Silver City.
Silver City? I don't believe the plane's landed.
All right, they'll get me close enough. I'll go if I have to crawl the rest of the way.
Yes, sir. Anything you say.
That's as far as the stage goes, mister. Silver City.
Here's your drink, mister.
Thanks.
Like I was saying, Silver City's real quiet during the day, but it'll open up round sundown. That's when the boys start drifting in from Hangtree. Oh, say, you was asking me about the stage. There she is, just pulled up in front of the hotel. You wouldn't be waiting for that little lady with the suitcase just got off, would you?
I sure would, Pop.
Classy. Oh, here's your change. I gave you some silver in case you want to play the slot machine.
Oh, there's no need to. I just hit the jackpot. As you sit there at the bar, watch Julie enter the hotel across the street. You congratulate yourself, don't you, Lee? Your trip to Silver City paid off, with a bigger payoff yet to come. A quarter of an hour later, you see Julie leave the hotel. Watch her as she enters a cafe halfway down the block. Quickly, you leave the bar and hurry into the hotel. Say, clerk, I've been expecting someone, a young lady. She was supposed to arrive on the bus.
Oh, Miss Clinton. Why, yeah, she checked in a little while ago. A roommate.
Oh, good.
But she ain't in now.
Oh, well, I'll see you later. Say, let me have your pass key, will you? I've left my key in my room. I'll bring it right back.
Well, okay. Just a sec. I'll get it for you.
Moments later, you slip into Julie's room. Quickly, you go through her suitcase and pocket the gun. Then, as you turn, your eye catches sight of something on the dresser. It's the postcard, the same one Julie dropped on the train. The card addressed to the late Jeff Larkin. It boasts a picture of historic Hangtree Cemetery of Silver City. On the back, you can barely make out the handwriting.
Dear Jeff, be sure to look me up. You're out this way. Hope to see you soon. Johnny Burgess. Johnny Burgess? I gotta know more about him.
Burgess?
Yeah.
Well, how do you like that? Your friend was in here asking about him.
My friend?
Mm-hmm. The lady got off the bus a little while ago. Asked me if Johnny Burgess had been in lately. You know something? Johnny Burgess died over 50 years ago.
What?
Yeah. Silver Johnny, they called him. Big man.
Another big man?
Yes, sir. Owned the mine. Town, too. Yes, sir. You been out to the cemetery?
The cemetery?
Johnny's got the fanciest resting place of them all. Heard it cost over $10,000. Big granite crypt, got a life-size statue of Johnny on top, and... What's the matter, young fella?
Oh, nothing. Look, how do you get out there to the cemetery?
Oh, easy. Just go right down the end of C Street here, then turn left by the Signal Oil Station, go up the road. You'll see a tree top of the hill, that's old Hangtree. Right beyond it, other side of the hill, real handy like the cemetery.
Oh, thank you. Thanks a lot.
You're out of breath when you finally reach the old cemetery. As you start down the hill, you notice a handful of people moving about the tombstones. Tourists, Lee. Yes, they're all about you, peering at the time-worn inscriptions on the tombstones, taking snapshots. Then you notice someone else. Yes, there she is, standing before a massive vault, staring at the statue on top of it.
Quite a gent, wasn't he, Julie?
What?
Don't look so surprised, baby.
Oh. What are you doing here?
I'm writing a book on the Old West. Now, what are you doing here?
You won't believe this.
I'll try.
I'm writing a book, too.
About Johnny Burgess?
That's right.
Yeah, a remarkable character, Burgess. I understand that broken-down pile of rocks there, that crypt, cost $10,000.
I must make a note of it.
Doesn't look much like anything now, does it? Overrun with the weeds and all. That lock on the door doesn't look very good to me, does it to you?
I'm not an expert on locks.
You know, from here it looks like it could be forced with a marshmallow. I wonder what's inside. That is, besides Johnny Burgess, I mean.
I wouldn't have the faintest idea.
Look, baby, our tourist friends are going to be parked here all afternoon, if I'm not mistaken, so why don't we go back to town? Talk.
About the romantic old West and all?
No, about this. This postcard. And Johnny Burgess' crypt.
Where'd you get that postcard?
I happened to wander into your room. It was quite accidental, really. I was looking for the elevator.
May I have it, please?
Well, sure. Now, let's go back to town, find some place nice and private. Your room at the hotel will do.
You know, Lee, you're a pretty smart boy.
Oh, thanks, honey. It was really very simple. Nevin sent the card to Larkin to let him know where the dough was stashed. Hangtree Cemetery. The $100,000 hidden in that vault. The final resting place of Silver Johnny Burgess. Give me a cigarette, will you?
Help yourself.
Thank you. You been to Frisco?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's a great town. We could have a wonderful time there, Julie.
Could we?
Yeah, besides, we'll be rolling in dough.
Lee.
Yeah.
Just where do we stand? I mean about the...
We're partners, honey. We're partners.
I see. You'll have to give me a little time to think it over.
Oh, sure. You know, there's one little thing I've been wondering about you, Julie. How'd you break into this affair? You're not Larkin's girlfriend. You picked him up on the train, didn't you?
That's unkind.
Oh. So you and Noisy Nevins used to hold hands.
So we did. I met him in San Francisco while Larkin was in prison.
You must have discovered that your boyfriend sent word to Larkin when he got out. About where the dough was, I mean.
Something like that.
But Nevins didn't tell you where it was.
He was not very cooperative at times, Lee.
Yeah. I bet you even suggested Nevins double-cross Larkin so that the two of you could have all the dough.
Do you think?
Yeah, I do.
Well, Nevins wouldn't hear of it. He was one of those honest people, code of the underworld and all that. Funny, I thought he'd do anything I asked him.
Except double-cross an old pal.
Noisy seemed to think we could get along with half the money. Said he didn't deserve any more. Opening safe came so easy to him.
Yeah, to him and his nitro. So when Nevins was killed in that accident, you saw that half go out the window. You didn't know where it was hidden, but Larkin did. He'd get it all. So...
Do we have to go into that part of it?
No, I guess not. We'll forget about it. We'll forget about everything except that in another half hour it'll be dark. And then we have a date with Johnny Burgess.
And $100,000.
Yeah, we can be in Frisco by morning. What do you say?
Oh, I don't know, Lee.
I can talk you into it. I know.
Can you? Well, keep talking, Lee. And they bye.
'Cause 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 'cause
hour later, as you step out into the street, you suddenly discover that Silver City has come alive. The main street is swarming with men from the mines. As you walk past the saloons, the cafes, and stores, you can hear the shouts, the laughter, jukeboxes, and player pianos. You walk to the edge of town, stop, and stare at the hill beyond. Hangtree silhouetted against the sky. For a long while you stand there, trying to make up your mind about Julie. After all, Lee, she killed once. At last you turn and hurry back along the crowded street. In one of the saloons, you get the information that you want.
What's that again, mister?
The bus. What time?
Oh, yeah. There's one due there in, let me see, about another half hour.
Thanks.
You can catch it over there.
Yeah, I know. Not say, is there a phone in here?
Yeah, right back there, end of the bar.
Thanks.
You push your way through the crowd to the rear of the saloon, to the telephone booth, and place your call.
Hello?
It's all set, baby. Still want to go to Frisco?
Of course I do.
All right. Forget the stuff and leave tonight. Now, you wait for me. Stay right where you are. I'll pick you up in about 10 minutes.
I'll be waiting.
Sheriff's office. McQuinn speaking.
Look, Sheriff, you can check on this later, but an ex-con named Larkin was murdered in Springdale 5 days ago.
Wait a minute. Who is
You'll
it?
find the murder gun at the Elmira Hotel in room 8. It's under a seat cushion, a chair by the window. You'll also find the dame there who pulled the trigger.
Now, hold on here. Who is it? Hello? Hello? Who?
Bye-bye, baby. I'm going to miss you in Frisco.
The Whistler will return in just a moment with a strange ending to tonight's story. Meantime, since there are only 5 shopping days till Christmas, I have a brilliant last-minute idea. I hope there are no little boys listening, because what I want to suggest is that there is no finer present than a switch for that forgotten name on your gift list. The forgotten name I'm referring to is your car, and the switch I'm suggesting is a switch to Signal. You know that Signal gasoline must have something. For Signal to have grown so in popularity from a mere handful of stations in Southern California to almost 2,000 Signal dealers, serving 6 western states from Canada to Mexico. Of course, I don't have to tell you that Signal is famous as the Go Farther gasoline. But even more important to you is the extra driving pleasure you enjoy, thanks to the extra efficiency today's Signal coaxes from your motor. So if you want your gas pedal to keep that Christmas morning thrill year-round, remember Marvin Miller's suggestion. Give your car a switch for Christmas. A switch to Signal gasoline. And now back to the Whistler.
After 12 hours and several long-distance calls, Sheriff McQuinn of Silver City was prepared to do some questioning. He talked to Lieutenant Knowles in Denver and to the San Francisco police. Now at last he felt that the puzzle was beginning to fit together. All that remained was to walk through the quiet early morning gloom to the cell occupied by his angry, impatient prisoner.
It's about time you're talking to me. What's it all about? You can't hold me here like this.
Now, just take it easy, lady. I can, and I'm doing it.
But I haven't...
Sit down. I've been making some phone calls. Picked up lots of things about you.
What of it?
In San Francisco, they tell me you used to run around with noisy Nevins.
So?
So, that's very interesting. Add it to the gun you were carrying around, and it could spell a murder in Springdale.
You'll have to prove that.
Lieutenant Knowles thinks he can. The caliber of the gun, you know, ballistics, and then the motive. All that money?
I don't know anything about it.
Sure. You don't know a thing.
Why don't you ask Lee Ryan?
We don't have to, lady. We're satisfied with what happened to him last night was Nevin's work. Just like a hand from the grave. A double-crossing hand.
What do you mean?
Out at the cemetery, when your friend Ryan tried breaking into Silver Johnny's last resting place. Yeah, Noisy Nevins was an expert with TNT. He wasn't planning to share that dough with anybody. He set a booby trap to kill his old pal Larkin. But Ryan got it instead. Let that whistle be your signal for the Signal Oil program, The Whistler, each Sunday night at this same time. Brought to you by the Signal Oil Company, marketers of Signal gasoline and motor oil and fine quality automotive accessories. Signal has asked me to remind you, to get the most driving pleasure, drive at sensible speeds, be courteous, and obey traffic regulations. It may save a life, possibly your own. Featured in tonight's story were Frank Lovejoy and Doris Singleton. The Whistler was produced and directed by George W. Allen, with story by Joel Malone and Adrian Jondeau, music by Wilbur Hatch, and was transmitted to our troops overseas by the Armed Forces Radio Service. Remember, at this same time next Sunday, another strange tale by The Whistler. This is Marvin Miller speaking. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Good evening, friends. This is your host to welcome you through the creaking door into the inner sanctum. Want to listen to a story that'll age you 10 years and a half hours? Oh, come on. You can't be happy all the time. I just got you through my mail. Perhaps I can answer a few questions. Let's see. Oh, yes, to the lady from Peoria. My answer... No, madam, I've only died once. To that transparent man in Detroit, ghosts do not have to pay income tax. And to that dear little lady living in a coffin in San Francisco, a very happy 800th birthday. Tonight's Inner Sanctum Mystery, The Death Deal, was written by Milton Lewis and stars Arnold Moss in the role of Roger, with Mercedes McCambridge as Helen and Everett Sloan as Dennis. All right, friends. It's time to turn down the lights, settle yourselves comfortably in a chair, and find out how gruesome life can be. Now remember, if you hear someone screaming, it may be you. Ready? Then let's get ghoulish. It's early evening, and the rather prosperous-looking gentleman in the diner, whom we shall call Roger Aldrich, looks up at the man sitting next to him when he feels his elbow gently tapped. Roger Aldrich couldn't tell you why he feels a sudden icy tingle in his elbow, where the man touched him. Or why his heart suddenly throbs with fear as he sees the bloodless white face of the man who now talks to him.
Algrist. Roger Algrist. That's your name, isn't it?
Yes. But we met.
This is the first time.
I'm glad to know you,
Mr. Mortmain.
It's not a name, Mortmain. How do you do?
Excuse me for not shaking your hand. I don't shake people's hand as a rule.
Oh, why not?
People generally don't like it. Is that your car outside, the blue one next to the fence?
Yes.
Don't drive it tonight.
Well, why not?
You will be killed in it.
What makes you think so?
I know.
Oh, really, Mr. Mortmain, I do think... Wait a minute. Someone's getting into my car.
So I see.
I left the keys in it. He's driving it away.
He won't get very far.
Michael, stop him. Hey, come back here.
Too late, Mr. Albright.
I'll call the police.
It won't do any good. Watch.
An explosion. The car's going up in flames. Good heavens. That man stole it. But I would have been killed.
Yes. You have another chance to live, Mr. Algrist.
How did you know? Who are you?
We shall meet again sometime, Mr. Algrist. Good night.
Yes? What is it?
I'm Detective Sergeant Lane of the police department. Here's my shield. May I come in?
Yes, of course.
Are you Mrs. August, Mrs. Roger August?
Yes, I am. Why?
You'd better sit down. I have some very bad news.
Bad news?
Yes, please sit down.
Yes, sir.
Your husband was killed in an automobile accident tonight.
Roger was killed?
Yes, ma'am.
Where?
Near a country diner, just a few miles from here.
Roger is an excellent driver. I don't understand how
We don't understand it ourselves yet. It's sort of a freak accident. The car seemed to explode, and the flames shot up.
Oh, no.
It must have been over in an instant for him. But the body, well, you'll have to come to the morgue and make identification of it in the morning.
Are you quite sure it was my husband's body?
Who else could it be?
Yes, who else?
I'm sorry to bring you such terrible news, Mrs. Augusta. May I extend my deepest sympathy?
Yes, thank you.
I'll call again at 10 in the morning. Good night.
Good night. Dennis? Dennis, it's all right to come out now.
Helen.
Dennis, I have something very strange to tell you.
Yes, I know. I heard what he said. Helen, do you realize what this means for us? You'll have everything. And with this accident, you'll receive double indemnity on the insurance.
Please, Dennis, don't talk about it now.
But why not? Surely you're not going to pretend that you cared for
No,
him.
I hated him. Still, when something like this happens, I'm a little frightened.
Oh, why should you be? You're free. We can marry.
Yes, I know, but...
You're trembling, darling. Come here.
Yes.
Nothing matters but us now. We don't have to live in constant terror any longer. For the first time, I can kiss you and feel that you're really mine.
No, Dennis, don't.
Who's that?
I don't know. You'd better go back into the other room.
All right.
Hurry.
Good evening, Helen.
Roger.
It's Roger.
Oh, but it can't be. They told me you were dead.
You'd like that, wouldn't you?
What?
You wish I were dead, don't you?
Roger, don't.
But I'm not. A woman who loved her husband would throw her arms about his neck if he returned as I've returned now.
It's just a shock. I'm upset.
Are you?
Yes.
Sit down, Helen.
But, Roger...
Sit down, I say.
Yes.
That police officer who was here a moment ago reported that I was dead, didn't he?
Yes, I don't understand it.
A very strange thing happened, Helen. Maybe before this evening's over, you may have your wish. And I'll be dead and out of your life forever, if that's what you want. You'd like that, wouldn't you, dear?
You're being very theatrical.
Oh, no. For once in my life, I'm being very practical. I've decided I can't live without you.
Well, Roger, you know the alternative.
You're making a clumsy attempt to be witty, but as it turns out, that's just how I solved my problem.
What's holding you back?
I don't believe in suicide. Here, take my gun.
What am I supposed to do? Kill you?
Exactly.
Oh, but you can't be serious.
I am. Consider it, Helen. I've been reported dead. The poor fool who stole my car was burned to death. Identification is impossible, but the police will take your word for it that the wreck of a person you'll see tomorrow at the morgue is me. You're in a position to commit a perfect murder.
You know, Roger, for the first time in years, I find you interesting.
I thought you would.
Tell me exactly how to murder you.
It's quite simple. You have a gun in your hand.
Oh, that part is easy, even pleasant. But how can I get rid of your body? Really, darling, it would be embarrassing to explain away your corpse.
In a moment, I'm going to the garage to take the station wagon into town.
Why? Where are you going?
To the police. If you don't kill me, I want to clear up the matter of the mistaken identity. However, if you want me to die, I suggest you murder me in the garage.
Why there?
Be so much more convenient.
Oh, I see. I won't have to drag your bleeding body through the house.
Exactly.
But then where would I take you?
Well, I suggest the bridge. No one uses it at this hour. My body would be washed out to sea. It would be days before it was found, and again, identification would be practically impossible.
And so you worked out a perfect plan. But there must be a catch to it.
What?
I'm sure you figure me to end up in the electric chair, even though you may kill yourself to do it.
Helen, if this sounds like the idea of a madman, maybe it is. You're the most beautiful woman I've ever met. I love you beyond reason, despite the fact that I know you have as much character as an alley cat. Tonight, I think it was you, perhaps with the assistance of my very dear friend Dennis, who was responsible for my car blowing up.
You think I tried to murder you?
That's just it, I don't know. But I can't go on not trusting you, thinking you want to murder me. I've got to know once and for all. Now, do you understand?
Yes. You're right. It is the plan of a madman. But then you always have been a little mad.
Well, maybe I am. I know what you do the moment I leave the house, and I still come crawling back to you. I've tried 1,000 times to walk out, and I can't. If you had any money, you'd have blessed me long ago. But you can get all my money only if I die. And so I'm giving you an opportunity because I must know. I must know if you could murder me. And now do you believe that this isn't all some monstrous joke?
Yes. I believe you are serious.
I walk out of here and go to the garage. It may be the last time I'll see you. I should like to kiss you goodbye. You're still my wife, you know.
Yes. Oh.
Ah. There's one thing more. Something I've waited a long time to do.
What?
This.
Ah.
That's for Dennis. And that's for all the others. The gun's in your hand, Helen. If you use it, please be thorough and empty it completely. After the pain you caused me during my life, the least you can do is to let me die quickly. And, by the way, you can tell Dennis he can come out as soon as I leave. Good night, Helen.
Dennis.
I heard what he said. It's some trick, some trick.
No, it's not. It's not a trick. I know him well enough to know that.
Well, you're not going to do it, are you?
He's testing me, Dennis. And now I'm going to test you. Will you help me?
Oh, I don't know. Murder?
Dennis, we've only a minute to decide. Answer me, Dennis.
There he is, Helen.
Helen? Is that you, Helen?
Yes, it's me.
Oh, Dennis, too. How very cozy. Oh, where's the gun?
Right here. In my hand.
I didn't think you had the courage.
Helen, are you sure?
I'll make certain.
No, Helen!
Put him in the back of the car, Dennis. Then drive to the bridge.
Several weeks had passed since Roger Aldrich was murdered. And this evening we find Helen at home alone, moodily staring out the window at the storm that rages outside.
Helen.
Dennis, why did you come here?
I must see you.
But I told you, I don't want people to talk.
Please let me in. I've got to speak
But
to you.
I don't want you to... Oh, all right. Now, what's wrong?
I don't know. Maybe I'm losing my mind.
What are you talking about?
I saw him again tonight.
Roger?
Yes, Roger, your husband, the man we murdered.
Oh, business.
No, I must say it. I saw Roger, your husband, the man we killed in the garage, whose body we dropped in the river.
Please.
I'm sorry, Helen. I didn't mean to become hysterical. I can't help it.
No, I suppose you can't. You've always been more of a woman than a man.
Helen!
It's perfectly true. You're acting like a frightened schoolgirl. You've no more courage than a worm.
I wonder if you enjoy this abuse you've taken to lately.
No, not particularly. I'd like to say something nice to you, but you give me no reason to.
I can see now why Roger hated you. You're treating me just like you treated him. And I thought you loved me.
Oh, stop it. If you've got something to tell me, let me hear it.
All right. He was in my house this time. Not staring through the window as I saw him before, or in the garden where I saw him last week. He was in my living room. I saw him walk out, close the door.
Darling, why didn't you stop him and apologize for murdering him?
You still think this is some sort of joke?
No, far from it. But if you don't get a grip on your nerves, something very unpleasant may happen. And I've too much to lose to let you go about in the state you're in. I suppose somebody hears about your stupid hallucinations. Somebody who might start investigating.
What would you do, Helen?
What do you think I'd do?
Murder me as you murdered Roger?
Darling, please, don't be melodramatic.
But you'd kill me.
Maybe.
Helen.
Now, please get out of here. Actually, the notion of murdering you has a certain pleasure which I find very tempting. And don't come back here with any more of your idiotic stories.
Good evening, Dennis.
Roger.
Yes, Roger. I've been waiting here for you to get home.
Hey, you're alive?
No.
But you're sitting there talking to me.
How do you know this doesn't exist just in your mind? There are no witnesses to prove my existence. Yet, here I am. You care to touch me to confirm your doubt?
No!
I don't blame you. You couldn't touch me. I'm dead, Dennis. These are the clothes I wore when I was murdered. Here are the wounds. The blood from the bullets flowing all over my shirt.
What? Why did you come here?
A few weeks ago, Helen gave you the pistol she used when she murdered me. It was a sort of token, a bond you demanded to seal your partnership in crime.
How do you know that?
The dead see everything. Tonight, just before you arrived, I saw Helen take the gun out of the desk drawer where you keep it.
But it's gone. Why did she take it?
It might be evidence that would interest the police. If you were found murdered.
She really is going to murder me?
You've always been weak and stupid, Dennis. But I think her whole plan must be finally clear to you by now. She knows you're going to pieces, and she plans to murder you as soon as possible.
Yeah, but what can I do?
Go back to her. If you don't destroy her, she'll destroy you. Act quickly.
Hello?
Mrs. Orvis, this is a friend of yours. I'm calling because your life is in danger.
What?
Dennis Wilcox is on his way to your home to murder you. Goodbye.
Hello, who are you? Hello? Yes, who's there?
It's me.
Dennis. Just a moment.
Let me in.
What do you want?
Just to see if I can find something.
Why are you going through that desk?
Just to make certain that Here it is.
What?
Roger's gun. The one you used to murder him.
I thought you had that.
It's no use lying any longer, Helen. I know why you stole it from me. You planned to murder me, but you won't get away with it. You're going to die first.
Then it stopped.
No! No. Oh, Helen, that gun, where did you get that gun?
Someone warned me you'd try this.
Oh, Helen, send for a doctor. My Janet.
You think I'd help you now?
What to help me? I want to help you. Get a doctor.
Dennis?
Well done, Helen. Good evening, Helen. You could put the gun down, darling. Don't bother to try to shoot me. Your gun is empty.
You're alive.
Alive? I sometimes wonder.
What did you do?
Are you really interested, Helen? Maybe you'll be happier if you're put to death and never knew what I did.
Put to death?
For the murder of Dennis.
So that's it. That's what you wanted to happen.
Yes, and it will. The police will be here in a moment.
And you arranged for that, too?
Yes. You must admit I have a certain talent for making arrangements.
Why didn't you die when I killed you?
Because, darling, though I may be your husband, I don't do everything you want me to. The bullets in the gun I gave you back in the garage were blank.
They were...
Yes. It was easy. I knew you and Dennis wouldn't take the trouble to examine my body.
And you counted on Dennis's weakness to arrange for my execution.
Yes. You may not love me, Helen, but you do know me well. As soon as I hear the police sirens coming up the road, I'll leave.
You won't get away with this.
Oh, yes, I will. I have a car waiting outside. Everything is all
Why did you do this to me? Why? What?
Because I wanted to discover if you're a murderess. I found out you were. So I arranged for you to pay in full for everything you've done.
I won't die. I won't.
The siren. Well, son, you'll have a chance to explain why you won't die to the gentleman who'll come through that door in a moment. I'm afraid I must go now. And I'm afraid I must use the back door. Goodbye.
Roger, take me with you.
Don't be ridiculous.
Please, Roger.
Take your hands off me.
No, Roger, no.
Forgive me for being a little rusty.
Open the door, Mr.
Oh, just a moment.
We've received a strange telephone call about... Oh, I see I'm too late. You murdered him.
No, officer, no. My husband murdered him.
Your husband?
Yes. He just ran out of the house. You better go after him quickly.
Mrs. August, your husband is dead.
No, he's not.
But you identified him in the morgue. I was with
But
you.
that was a mistake. I didn't... Oh, what's the use? You wouldn't believe me anyway. What kind of call did you receive about me?
Someone said you planned to kill Mr. Wilcox. And I see that you have. You're under arrest for murder, Mrs. August.
Good evening, Mr. August.
Who are you?
Don't you remember me?
Mr. Morton.
Yes.
What are you doing in my car?
Waiting for you to come along. I once did you a favor. I thought that you might ride me just to the crossroads. It's difficult to walk in this storm.
Yes, of course. I'll take you wherever you want to go.
Mr. August.
Yes?
I must say, I don't think you did very well with the chance to live that I gave you.
What do you know about it?
Everything.
Oh, how? Who are you, anyway?
Perhaps I'm just someone you imagine. Someone who doesn't exist.
But I can see you. I can speak to you.
We can see and speak to the creations of our mind. Sometimes they are more real than the people of flesh and blood who can be killed.
Your name. Your name, Mr. Morton. I know what it means.
Do you?
Yes. It means the hand of death. Why did you come to me tonight? Do you think I've done wrong? Can't you see I couldn't go on living with her, that I had to become free of her? Now I'll be able to make something of my life.
Will you? Oh, Mr. August, drop me here, please.
Very well.
By the way, Mr. August, before I go, I have a message for you. Here. It's written out. Good night.
Good. Message. I better read it. Where's that dashboard light? Oh. Dear Mr. August, by the time you finish reading this, it will be too late. Morning. What did... The car. There's something wrong. I'll bet you next time Roger's alive, he'll know better than to marry a woman who's going to kill him. And wasn't that Helen a charming girl? The kind of woman who'll love you till you die. And she'll see to it that you die soon. Which brings us to the moral of our story, which we found on the walls of the tomb of King Tut, Tut, Tut. Never ask your wife if she'd like to murder you. You may be surprised at her answer. Good night. Pleasant dreams.
Inner Sanctum was heard in the United States over CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System, and has been rebroadcast for servicemen and women overseas. This is the United States Armed Forces Radio Service, the voice of information and education.
Quiet, please. Quiet, please. The Mutual Broadcasting System presents Quiet, Please, which is written and directed by Willis Cooper and which features Ernest Chappell. Quiet, Please for tonight is called Kill Me Again. You ever hear anybody say, I'd sell my soul for this, that, or the other? Well, not very many people really mean it when they say it. Unfortunately, I did. And I found a buyer. No, nothing very exciting. No crashes of thunder, no red fire. Now, the doorbell just rang, and when I opened the door, there was a worried little-looking man standing there. I said, well?
I understand you have some property for sale, Mr. Davis.
Who are you?
Yeah, I'm Mr. Hellman, Mr. Davis. May I come in?
Mr. Hellman came in. Mr. Hellman sat down nervously. Mr. Hellman didn't have much time, it appeared, but Mr. Hellman had the $1 million in currency that I had named as my price for my soul. And he also had a bill of sale, neatly typed in triplicate. No, it didn't seem odd at all. That's why I suggest you never mention aloud that you'd be willing to dispose of your own immortal soul for this, that, or the other thing. Well, Mr. Hellman gets around. And he's a mighty sharp businessman, for all his apparent nervousness. So Mr. Hellman got up and went to the door.
Well, good night, Mr. Davis. It's a pleasure to do business with you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Hellman.
I'll be seeing you soon, then.
Hey, close the door, Mr. Hellman. But Mr. Hellman had gone on out, and me with $1 million in currency, well, I hopped at the door to close it fast. Not fast enough, though. Well, there were two men there with revolvers. I didn't get a chance to say a word. They both fired, and I saw them run down the hallway with my beautiful new $1 million. I tried to yell, but I couldn't. And I turned around. There I was, lying on the floor, all bloody. Mr. Hellman spoke to my ear.
Well, I guess you can come along now, Mr. Davis. I kept my bargain. Now you keep yours.
So that's how come I was sitting a little while later in a little dark room with Mr. Hellman. There wasn't much light in there. What light there was seemed to come from way up high near the ceiling and sort of flickered, like the light that comes from a fireplace. Mr. Hellman was sitting at a desk looking at me, and his eyes seemed to dart all around the room, but, well, maybe that was from the flickering light. He didn't say anything for a long while. Just sat there and bit his fingernails. And then he spoke.
Well, Mr. Davis.
This is a dirty trick you pulled on me.
The contract didn't say anything about your keeping the money, Mr. Davis.
Oh, yes, but I assumed...
Now, Mr. Davis, you must never assume things when there's a written contract. You should have read it.
Well, I hadn't any idea you were going to pull this kind of a trick.
Most people who deal with me haven't.
Well, I won't stand for it.
You won't?
No, I won't.
You can't do anything about it.
Why, that contract wouldn't hold up in a court of law.
What court of law?
Well,
Now, come, Mr. Davis. You're going to be here a long, long time, and you might just as well get used to doing as I say.
Well, what do I have to do then?
Yes, well, I must confess, I acted rather hastily in your case.
You mean you're going to let me out of here then?
Oh, my, no.
But I haven't done anything.
No, that's what's got me puzzled, Mr. Davis. Why don't I think?
Think what?
Well, I may as well confess. You see, most of the people who make an arrangement with me about their souls, as you did, are due to come here anyway, eventually.
I don't get it.
I mean, they've already committed a crime or a sin or whatever you like, enough to qualify them for our little institution. And so the transaction really doesn't mean anything except to expedite their arrival. Do you see?
You mean you cheat them? You gyp them?
Oh, come now, Mr. Davis. Business is business.
I suppose so. But what's that got to do with me?
A great deal, Mr. Davis. Your soul belongs to me, according to the terms of our contract, you see. But you haven't committed any sins, according to my records. So you're in a very strange position.
I don't get it.
Why, you see, you're a regular inmate now, Mr. Davis, but I can't send you out to the fire department or any of the other departments like the rest of our guests because you're not qualified. It's very, very distressing.
Yes. Yes, it must be.
Yes, it's very, very, very distressing. I am really ashamed of myself.
I feel awful sorry for you, Mr. Hellman.
Dear me, I've been running this place for so long, and I've never had a slip-up before. Believe me, if this gets around... Mr. Davis, promise me one thing.
What?
Promise me you'll never say a word about this to anybody around here.
Well, that depends on how I'm treated, Mr. Hellman.
Oh, dear, I knew you'd take advantage of me.
Well, I'm a businessman, too, Mr. Hellman.
Oh, dear. Oh, dear.
You said you never had a slip-up before?
Never once. Never once in ever so many years. Never once.
Well, how about Dante? He was down here.
Dante? Oh, you mean that Italian fellow with the long robe?
Or wreath of leaves on his head.
Oh, yes, I remember him. I remember him quite well. This place was a mess for weeks after he was here.
Well, you let him out.
I had to. He was a visitor, you see. He was alive.
I see.
And you know what that man did? He wrote a book about this place. And what that book did to business. Why, do you know business fell off 13% the very first year?
That's awful, Mr. Hellman.
You have no idea what I went through.
I am a writer, too.
Mr. Davis, allow me to call your attention to the fact that I have a very special department in this place for writers.
Oh?
Very special department. Yes, remind me to show you someday the lovely little apartment in there that I fixed up especially for Mr. Dante.
Well, isn't he here?
That sissy, he didn't have the basic ordinary human decency to afford me an opportunity to welcome him back. Not Mr. Dante. He lived an exemplary life and died full of virtue, the coward.
Well.
Yes, but that doesn't solve my problem with you.
I can wait, Mr. Hellman.
Yes, well, doubtless I'll find something for you to do, Mr. Davis. And in the meantime, just feel free to go anywhere. I'll let you know when I want you.
You won't let me off, then?
Oh, dear, no, Mr. Davis. Dear, no. Business is business. The same here as everywhere else. Yes, it's the very devil, isn't it, Mr. Davis? Yes. Well, bye-bye. I'll see you later, and don't get into any mischief.
Well, I felt quite perky as I wandered around Mr. Hellman's remarkable institution. Well, who wouldn't? I'd had a pretty tough time on Earth. There were plenty of times when I'd wondered where the next meal was coming from. Well, I had $1 million, even if it was for only a few minutes, and there aren't very many people in the world who can say that. Then, now, here I was, a non-paying permanent guest, and Mr. Hellman himself admitted he couldn't do anything about it. Just that alone was enough to make me feel pretty smart and pretty smug, especially when I'd catch Mr. Hellman's expression occasionally out of the corner of an eye. You know, Mr. Hellman's a very hard person to outwit. Well, people have been trying to do it ever since. And now look who did it. Little old Joe Davis, the guy that never had a nickel. The guy that sold his soul and made a profit on it. Well, I was smart to do my laughing early. Well, Mr. Hellman's ingenious. When I think of some of the things he had people doing. My, oh, my. Well, I'd seen enough of the place to decide that I was a very, very lucky fella. Also to wish I'd never made this deal. So I can say definitely that I wasn't happy. Mr. Hellman saw that, too. And he talked to me about it.
Mr. Davis, you're not happy.
No, I'm not, Mr. Hellman.
Well, I'm not either.
Well, yes, but you can do something about it. I can.
You're a disturbing influence here.
Well, I can't help that. You brought me here.
You're ruining the morale here.
How?
Well, you keep telling my staff members how you outsmarted me on this deal.
No, I don't. I tell them how you outsmarted yourself.
Well, I want you to stop it.
Mr. Hellman, I'm an unwilling guest here, you know.
Don't I know it?
Well, why don't you do something about it?
I want you to stop carrying tales about me, or...
Or what, Mr. Hellman?
Mr. Davis... you want to get out of here, don't you?
I certainly do.
Now, Mr. Davis, if I let you out of here, would you stop being mean to me?
Oh, trying to bribe me, huh?
Yes, I am, Mr. Davis, on a purely business basis, you understand.
Okay. Okay, what's the basis?
Well, of course, I should expect something in return.
Well, I said I wouldn't talk about you if you'd let me out.
You will have to do a little better than that.
Well, anything within reason.
Good. Now, see here, I do have a contract with you, don't I?
As if I'd forget that.
Yes, quite. We mustn't forget it. Now, Mr. Davis, tell me, have you ever considered murder?
Murder?
Exactly.
No, I've never considered murder, Mr. Hellman. And if you think you're going to suck me into committing a crime so you can put me out there with the other boys and girls... Oh, no, Mr. Hellman, really, I did think you were smarter than that. Why, even after the way you messed up this other deal between
Now,
us.
don't rub it in, Mr.
Well,
Davis.
I mean...
You see, I could give you leads. All you'd have to do is appear on Earth and sort of stick around, giving these various people an opportunity to murder you. And And then, well, you see, they automatically qualify for a place here.
No, I got murdered once, thank you.
You're quite welcome, I'm sure. Now, what about it? Solves both our problems, doesn't it?
Well, what happens after I get murdered?
Oh, you come back here until I have another assignment for you.
I come back here?
Of course. I want this to be a home for you, Mr. Davis.
No.
You have a very nice, comfortable apartment, Mr. Davis, and no work whatever to do, you know.
Yeah, I don't like it, though.
Why, Mr. Davis, you might have to give up your comfortable apartment, you know, if you're not cooperative.
Oh, threatening me, huh?
Oh, no. But the shortage, you know.
You'd kick me out in the cold.
Oh, not the cold, dear. No, Mr. Davis, not the cold.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Mr. Davis, do you remember what strawberry shortcake tastes like?
Oh, God.
Do you remember the blue sky with white, fleecy clouds floating in it on a summer afternoon? Green grass, trees. Remember the sound of dogs barking at night?
Going swimming in the ocean. And snow. Beautiful white snow.
Rain. Lovely, cool rain at the end of a hot August day.
A new suit of clothes. Apple pie.
Listening to music with a beautiful girl by your
Going
side.
fishing at Tomahawk Lake.
Radio, movie. Oh my, I shouldn't have said that.
A cold glass of beer.
What do you say, Mr. Davis?
Mr. Hellman, you've sold a bill of goods.
Just sign here, Mr. Davis. Why, Mr. Davis, you're back so quick.
Why, darn it, I never had a chance. Is this the kind of a deal you made with me? I'm done, Hellman.
Oh, Mr. Davis, but you did beautifully.
I just opened the door and the guy plugged me.
I know. He was much hastier than I expected.
I didn't get a chance to do a thing. Just bang, bang, that's all, and I'm saying hello, Mr. Hellman.
That's too bad, isn't it?
Why, I haven't been gone 15 minutes.
Well, you got excellent results. He'll be down here before you know it, and you and he will have a good many laughs over it before I give him his assignment.
Yeah.
Well, now, shall we try again, Mr. Davis?
We shall not.
Oh, but, Mr. Davis, I'm afraid you'll have to.
What? Why?
You signed an agreement, Mr. Davis. My, will you never learn to read things before you sign them?
Well, this time it wasn't so bad. For a while. Well, I was smart. I never went near the fellow for 2 months. And I lived like a king. I will say this, Mr. Hellman, he's generous with an expense account. Of course, some people say that all the money there is belongs to him, but, well, they're willing to take it regardless. Mr. Hellman was all right about it. He didn't rush me. And I'd begun to wonder how long I could get away with it. Well, I say I had a lot of money. I went a lot of places, putting this thing off as long as I could. And I was having fun. I got ideas. Well, you see, I'd met this girl. Oh, sure, a girl comes into any story sooner or later. I never had a girl in my previous life before Mr. Hellman, so I was nuts about this one. I remember I got very sentimental with her. Kind of forgot, I guess. It was a beautiful night with a million stars. We'd been dancing on an outdoor terrace. I really did forget who I was.
Sure is a beautiful night, isn't it?
The stars.
I could just reach up and touch them.
Make you feel romantic?
Kind of.
Me too.
Let's stay out here a while.
I was hoping you'd say that.
You were? Why?
Don't you know?
'Cause it's cool?
No.
'Cause you're tired of dancing?
No.
What?
You.
Me?
Yes. I love you.
Oh, now look. Don't be ridiculous.
I'm not. I love you.
Oh, listen, dear.
I love you.
Listen, I said.
Well?
Look, you're nice to be around with, and you spend your money, and you take me places, and I have kind of fun with you. But that's as far as it goes.
Well,
No, skip it.
Well, I tell you...
Why do you have to be so serious? Don't spoil everything.
But I thought that
I know what you thought. You thought I was falling for you. Well, I'm not.
Darling, I want to marry you.
Marry you? Why, you old fool. Marry you.
Darling, please listen to me.
Look, Pops, I don't want to be mean to you, but after all, you're old enough to be my father. And I don't want to hear any more about it. Now, do you want to go back in and dance, or do you want to get me a taxi and let me go home?
And as she stood there laughing at me, I thought I heard someone else laughing, and it sounded like Mr. Hellman.
You're wasting time, Mr. Davis. Better get to work, hadn't you?
So I went to see my prospect. And it wasn't very hard feeling the way I did. I'm old enough to be her father, am I? It wasn't very difficult to taunt him into drawing a revolver. So I got murdered for the third time, and Mr. Hellman had a new inmate, and it didn't hurt very much after all. And I wondered how that girl felt about it. Well, I had a nice apartment down there in Mr. Hellman's place, but I didn't get much time to use it. That's one thing you want to remember about making a bargain with Mr. Hellman. Well, the bargain part of it is always on his side. I brought in 26 new customers, and, well, then I thought it was time for a vacation. Well, after all, you try getting murdered 26 times. Why, it wears you out. I had scars all over me. So I spoke to Mr. Hellman. Mr. Hellman, I said, I need a vacation. I've been working awful hard, Mr. Hellman, and I'm worn out. Why, Mr. Hellman, I said, I've got so there isn't any place left to shoot me without going through an old bullet hole.
Why, I'm awfully sorry, Mr. Davis, but a bargain is a bargain.
But look, I tell you...
Sorry, Mr. Davis, but business is business. You cost me $1 million.
But I never got a cent of it.
I'm sure you realize that that's not my fault, Mr. Davis.
Are you sure about that, Mr.
I
Hellman?
don't care to discuss it, Mr. Davis. Now, here is another very good prospect that I want you to see just as soon as possible.
Well, I won't do it.
Mr. Davis, must I take steps? Now, about this black market chap.
Well, I hadn't had any rest for so long. I was so fed up with this Mr. Hellman and the job he forced me into. I said to myself, I'm going to double-cross you, Mr. Hellman. I'm going to get some rest somehow. Somehow. So I walked into this black marketeer's office. He seemed to be a rather nice fellow.
How do you do, young man? What can I do for you?
I don't want anything.
An automobile?
No, thanks.
Well, a washing machine.
Now, what could I do with a washing machine?
Change a $1,000 bill for you?
No.
Well, an apartment, maybe.
An apartment? Say, that I could use.
It's a deal, sir. Just look at this. 4 rooms. Bath newly decorated, daily maid service, modern kitchen. Finest apartment in the city. How about it?
How much?
Strictly ceiling price, sir. Long-term lease.
I'll take it.
But,
Yes?
You'll have to buy the drapers in the apartment.
Oh, that's all right. How much?
Oh, that'll be, let me see, $10,000.
I was standing over him with the smoke still wreathing its way upward out of my revolver, and he was as dead as a doornail on the thick green rug. The door opened, and I turned around.
Well, Mr. Davis.
Hellman.
Mr. Hellman Davis. Well, now you have been and gone and done it, haven't you?
Did you hear what he was trying to sell me?
Mr. Davis, I hope you realize that your days as a guest in my institution are over.
You mean I don't have to go back now?
My, he certainly is dead. You're a very good shot, Mr. Davis.
Well, he made me so mad.
Yes, indeed.
Well,
what were you saying about not having to come back?
Did you mean I don't have to come back now, Mr. Hellman?
Why, Mr. Davis.
What?
Why, Mr. Davis, don't you see what you've done? I knew eventually you'd do something like this. Temper, Mr. Davis.
What are you talking about?
Why, Mr. Davis, I knew someday you'd commit a crime, commit a sin, Mr. Davis. Why, certainly you're coming back, Mr. Davis, after the law gets through with you.
Mr. Hellman, listen, sir.
I'm afraid you're never going to be a businessman, Mr. Davis. I have such interesting things for you to do the next couple of million years.
Who's that?
Why, that, Mr. Davis, I suspect is the officers come to take you to jail, where they will eventually send you back to me.
No. No!
I'll be seeing you, Mr. Davis. Kill me again. Kill me again.
You have listened to Quiet Please, which is written and directed by Willis Cooper. Mr. Davis, the man who spoke to you, was Ernest Chappell. And Mr. Hellman was played by James Monks. The girl was played by Peggy Stanley. And the black marketeer was Pat O'Malley. Music for Quiet Please is composed and played by Gene Carrazzo. Now, for a word about next week's Quiet Please, here is our writer-director, Willis Cooper.
Next week's story is a simple story of a man and a woman who loved each other and what happened to them. It's called In Memory of Bernadine.
And so, until next week at this same time, I am quietly yours, Ernest Chappell. Quiet Please came to you from New York. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
This is Dustin Hoffman asking you to join me in aiding the children.
The noise within the police precinct drowned out the bigger noise of the city without. But the office of Inspector Brogan was quiet. He had said all he was going to say. And now he waited for the little man to speak. The little man with the patch on his forehead and the bandage around his arm. The little man who sat opposite him. The puzzled little man with the nervous eyes and the tense, staccato speech.
But I tell you, Inspector, I ain't mixed up with them guys.
We found you with them.
I know, but that was only an accident, my being with them. The whole thing is an accident, even from the beginning.
Then why don't you tell me about it from the beginning?
What's the use of telling? You won't believe me. Nobody would believe me. The whole thing is a case of nobody believing me.
All I know is that we found you with them. If you don't start talking, I'll believe plenty.
Oh, what the heck. I got nothing to lose, I guess. Except my neck.
That's right.
Might as well spill it. Well, you know me. I'm Joe Morris, and I drive this hack, see? This was a couple of days ago, see? And I was cruising along, minding my own business, when this guy hails me. I pull up to the curb, and he gets in. Where to, mister?
Anywhere, but make it fast.
What's, buddy?
There's $20 to step on it. That mean anything?
$20. She's all yours, buddy. Now, where do you want to go, friend?
Joe Morris. That's you, isn't it?
That's what it says on the license under my smiling face, friend.
Joe, I'm going to be frank with you. In fact, I got to be. You're the only one that can help me now. I got to get away. I'm being followed.
You mean one of those cars is tailing it?
I'm sure of it.
Don't look that way to me.
You got to believe me, Joe. I'm in a terrible spot. You see, I'm on a special mission, carrying an important letter that can help all of us. All of humanity. It's got to be delivered.
Left the oil to me, easy, pal.
You don't believe me, huh? Well, take a look at the shoulder. They got close enough to get a bullet hole into me yesterday.
Now, listen, friend. I don't want no part of this, see? I don't want to hear no more. There's a catty troop following me, like you said. I'm going to shake him, and when I do, you spray him quick, see?
You got to do this for me. Ed, it's $500. I can't explain now how important it is. When you deliver where it's addressed, there's $1,000 more waiting for you.
Look, mister, I'm making a quick stop at that corner. Get out and get out quick.
I'm leaving the envelope and $500 on the back seat.
Hey, listen.
I'm counting on you to get that envelope delivered.
Now, wait a minute.
And don't cross me, brother.
Hey, come back. You can't do this to me. Come back. Hey. I yelled after this guy, but he just ignored me. Then all of a sudden, these guys in the coupe that was following us were plenty smart. They found us all right. My fare started running back to me. It was time to get moving. I started to shove in the clutch. Funny, my fingers had got kind of stiff. Couldn't seem to work right. He was hit. Again. I could see him out of the corner of my eye. Stagger. Stop. Stagger. And kind of keel over easy and slip down into the sidewalk like he'd never want to get up again.
Ready to get that guy in the cab.
They got him. They got him, sure. But they weren't going to get me.
Hey, stop! Hold it! Hey!
I stepped on it hard. After a while, I got to thinking. $500. I counted them. My wife, Bess, was going to like that. I looked the envelope over. It was addressed to Mr. Kramer. Kramer. Hotel Crescent. I opened it. The key dropped out. It was little. It wasn't a house key. There was only one piece of paper inside, and the writing on it didn't make no sense. Like a secret code. Yeah, that's what it was. See, maybe this dead guy wasn't giving me a spiel after all. Maybe this paper was a plan that some right guy ought to have his hands on. Something that'd help the country. Then I thought, things like that never happened to me. Stop kidding yourself. Be smart. Play it safe. Pocket the $500 and call it quits. Nobody knows anything about it but you and the guy that was bumped. But that $1,500 in one lump would sure look good. Double or nothing. Come on, Joey. Where's the old nerve? Double or nothing. Why not?
$5.60.
Yes, sir? Can I do anything for you?
Yeah, I want to see Mr. Kramer.
Just a moment, please. I'll see if he's in. Excuse me. Kramer? Kramer?
I guess that's it.
He checked out early this morning. He left no forwarding address.
Oh, I see. Thanks.
Oh, excuse me. Did I hear you ask for Mr. Kramer?
What's that?
Kramer. Are you looking for Kramer?
No, I ain't looking for Kramer.
You sure?
Sure, I'm sure. And so long.
Be seeing you.
What's that?
I said I'd be seeing you.
Thought to myself, what am I getting into? I should have kept out of that hotel. I should have steered clear of sticking my nose where it didn't belong. Burn the letter quick, a voice keeps yelling in my head. Burn the letter and take up powder before some mug steps on your face. Well, I drove out to the sticks and burned the letter and got rid of that key. And then headed back to the house. Altogether, it must have taken 2 or 3 hours. And when I got there, brother, when I got there...
Hello, Joe. How are you?
Huh? Talking to me?
Who else? Remember me? Remember the little talk we had at the Crescent Hotel?
Oh, yeah. Say, how come you know my name and where I live?
Easy. I copied down your license numbers. There's a way of getting a hackey's name and address if you know his license numbers.
Okay. Okay, what's on your mind?
You read the paper? About the guy that was shot just after he got out of a cab? Tell you a secret, Joe. I happen to know who this double-crossing jerk was. And a friend of mine tells me that this jerk jumped out of a cab just like yours.
Now, listen, mister, I don't know nothing.
Just call me Smitty, Joe. And you know what else? I think this guy who was riding in your cab, I think he gave you a letter.
Listen, fella, you're barking up the wrong tree.
That letter was addressed to Mr. Kramer. And I'm telling you like a brother that Mr. Kramer don't like his mail held up. In fact, you can hand it over right now.
I ain't got no letter. I tell you, I don't know what you're talking about.
Now, Joe, you're kind of dumb for a family man.
What do you mean?
Well, I've been checking around, Joe. I know all about that wife and kid. You know, a family man is supposed to protect his wife and kid so nothing happens to him. You get it? Now, you and I know Mr. Kramer don't live at the hotel anymore, so I'll expect you to have his mail on you the next time I call. I'll be seeing you, Joe. And you know, I keep my word.
Come on, Joe. I think. The gears in my head wouldn't turn over. They were frozen. I knew I shouldn't have burnt the envelope. I could have handed it over, and that would have been the end of it. Then I got worried about Bess and Jimmy. Suppose something happened to them. I had to go upstairs right away and see that nothing would happen to Bess and Jimmy.
Hello, Joe. Have a hard day?
Nothing special, Bess. How's Jimmy?
He's sleeping, thank heaven. I finally got him off to bed.
Did he cough much today?
No, not much today. Maybe that medicine's doing him some good. He even ate his soup today.
Don't you worry none, Bess, honey. We're going to take care of Jimmy. We're going to give him all the sunshine and dry climate he needs. His old man ain't going to let him down. See this?
Joe.
500 good American smackaroos, and it's just the beginning.
Joe, where did you get all that money? Now, you promised me you wouldn't gamble. You said you'd stay away from that bunch of petty crooks.
I haven't fooled around with any of those guys since Jimmy was born, honest.
Well, then how did you make $500?
I can't tell you, Bess.
Well, then I can't take it.
Well, that makes me look good, doesn't it? Here I twist my brains inside out trying to get hold of the coin to take care of Jimmy. And when I get it, you don't want no part of it. Well, somebody gave it to me just like that. So it's mine and you can take it.
No.
Well, that's gratitude. There it is on the table. Do you want it? Do what you want with it. I'm going out. I was tired, angry. I didn't care about anything anymore. I just walked to my cab, figuring I'd get in and cruise around a while, trying to relax. Well, I gets my hand on the door handle, but I don't have time or the strength to open the door. Believe me, I had a right to freeze.
I've been waiting for you, driver.
Sorry, mister, the cab's taken.
Yeah, I've taken it. Get in.
I don't think you heard me, bud. I said, what's that?
A tiny little 38, Runt. Get in, I get nervous.
Okay. Put it away, will you?
Got the envelope on you?
Huh? What envelope? What are you talking about?
The letter Smitty wanted from you.
Smitty?
Cut the act. I've been trailing the both of you.
Look, I don't know, Smitty. He just stepped into my cab.
That's all right, Runt. I don't like Smitty either. He don't like me, Lefty. You didn't give that mug the letter, did you?
No.
Then hand it over.
I ain't got it.
Is that a fact?
Mister, I don't know what this is all about. Mister, I'm just a cabbie trying to get along.
Put up that meter. Now drive. I'll tell you where to go. A friend of mine wants to see you. Keep going straight. Keep going.
560 KSFO is proud to bring you these great American broadcasts, part of the real entertainment we have for you every night. This is Jerry Gordon. Here's more of the best.
Go on in. This is the cabbie boss, Joe Morris.
Well, I'm sorry we've put you to all this trouble, Mr. Morris.
Who are you?
Kramer is my name. I believe you have a letter from me which you received from a friend who is unfortunately no longer living. Speak up, Mr. Morris.
I don't know anything about it.
I know you have the letter. Now, if you're worried about the money you're supposed to get...
Don't you believe me? I ain't got it.
Was it 1,000? 1,500 then. All right, how much did Smitty offer you? I'll top it.
Nothing. I don't know why you keep picking on me. I ain't got the letter. I burned it.
Take a good look at me. Know who I really am?
Yeah. I saw your picture in the papers yesterday. You're Big Eddie.
Well, you have a good memory, Mr. Morris. I just got out. Did a 5-year stretch, but I've still got a very good memory, too. I never forget a double-crosser. You know, Smitty used to work for me. Now he's trying to cut in on me.
You mean he ain't part of your gang?
That's right. He's not connected with my organization. So if I were you, I wouldn't give him that letter.
But I tell you, I ain't got no letter. I got scared. I burned it.
Very interesting. I understand you have a family, Mr. Morris. Is that right, Lefty?
Yeah, that's right, boss. We just come from where he lives.
Now, we don't like to get violent, Mr. Morris, so I'll expect that letter sometime tomorrow. Lefty will get in touch with you. You can go now. But I'd stay away from that rat Smitty. It won't be safe around him.
Well, there I was. 2 gangs wanted one letter that I didn't have. I thought, maybe I ought to spill it to the cops. But it was so mixed up, I figured they wouldn't believe me neither. The cops couldn't believe me. Smitty didn't believe me. Big Ed Kramer didn't believe me. Even my wife Bess didn't believe me. I got behind the wheel and cruised around for a while and then headed for my friend Willie's pool room. I can dope a lot of things out when I'm shooting pool.
What's the matter, Joey? You sure are off your pool game today. Like taking candy from a baby. Anything wrong with Jimmy? Anything I can do for you, fellas?
No, thanks. This is something I got into myself, and I got to figure it out myself. Figure it out for myself. What good's one letter you don't have when 2 tough guys want it? Now, if I had 2 letters... If I had 2 letters, then... A crazy idea popped into my head. I ran over with it to Willie's office. ALIRL 4X6-J. That ought to do it. Makes as much sense as that other letter I burnt. I put 1 copy in each envelope and 1 small key. Maybe giving each of them a letter would do the trick. Maybe I'd be free and clear again.
You got it?
Yes, Smitty, here it is. Oh, no, thanks. No, I don't want no money.
If you're smart, you'll forget you ever saw me.
Well, Runt, you got it?
Yeah, Lefty, here it is. Oh, no, I don't want nothing.
If you ever see me or Big Ed again, you never laid eyes on it. You get it, Runt?
That was that. If I didn't see them again, I'd know it worked. And that Joey Morris had pulled himself out of a jam again. If it worked.
Oh, Joe, there was a man asking for you today. Said he'd call again.
Hey, Joe, a couple of fellas asking for you. One of them was that same guy. Joe, some fellas around the pool room an hour ago asking for you.
But it hadn't worked. Why had I ever thought it would? Crazy idea like that. I decided I had to get out of town for a while, lay low. I headed home to tell Bess. I knew
knew there'd be trouble when you brought all that money home. I knew it, Joe. I knew it.
Okay.
Oh, Joe, why don't you go to the police?
Stop jabbing at me and listen to me. Keep the door locked and don't open it except for Willie and me, understand?
Yes. Why?
Forbear. Please don't ask questions and don't let Jimmy down in the street by himself, understand?
Don't let Jimmy down in the street by himself. But, Joe, what is it? What's the matter?
Nothing, only don't. Don't. I get back to the cab, but I never had a chance to turn the key in the ignition. There was an old friend of mine waiting. Smitty.
Slip me a phony letter and think you can get away with it, huh? Let's go.
Smitty, believe me, I couldn't help it. They made me do it.
Yeah?
Honest, I was bringing you the real letter when they stuck a gun in my stomach and took it away. Then they give me that phony one to give to you.
You expect me to fall for that?
Killing me ain't going to do you no good. I'm just a little guy. Big Ed Kramer's got the letter now.
You're lying. If you're giving me another wrong steer, you won't know what hit you when I catch up with you.
I watched him walk down the block. It was getting dark, and after a while I couldn't see him at all. I thought maybe I ought to call the police like Beth said. Maybe I ought to talk it over with her. Tell her everything. I went back into the house and up the stairs until I got to my floor. He was waiting in the shadows, practically in front of my door.
Hello, Mr. Morris.
Kramer.
I thought you'd be coming this way. Mr. Morris, I always take my hat off to a smart guy. Slipping me that fake letter.
What could I do? There was one letter and two guys wanted it.
I quite understand your position. Now, Lefty's outside. We're going to get in my car and drive off. Now, Smitty is up the street waiting for us in his car, and he's going to follow us to a nice, dark spot. And you know what? You're in on this all the way. After this, I think you listen to reason, Mr. Morris.
There was no arguing with this Kramer guy. That gun he had handled scared me plenty. Lefty was waiting, like he said, and we drove off. We only went maybe half a mile to where there was some vacant lots, and Kramer made me get out. Smitty's car had been following us about a couple of blocks down, and we could hear it purring in the distance.
Get in the middle of the road, Morris. In the lights. Fast now, or I'll blow your head off. And wave your hands. That's it, wave them. That'll stop your friend Smitty.
Hey, you. What's the idea?
Let him have it, Lefty.
He's as good as dead right now.
They murdered him as quick as that. The air smelled funny, but most of it was gasoline. At first, I thought the bullets had hit the gas tank, then...
Don't pour it all there, Lefty. Spray some of that gas on the back seat.
We got another can left, boy.
Well, snap it up.
Hey, what's going on? What are you doing?
Very simple, Mr. Morris. I want you to watch Smitty disappear with your own eyes. Then you'll be sure. You won't have anyone to worry about. But me. You got it?
I got it. Right under the ribs. First they killed him, and now they were going to burn him. This guy wouldn't stop at nothing. Bess wasn't safe. Jimmy wasn't safe.
Lefty, give us a hand with this stiff. He sure put on weight since he was with me.
I pulled out a pack of smokes, unconscious, and a book of matches. Then it come to me like a flash. Get it over with. Burn them. Burn it all. Burn it all.
Hey, Morris, put that light out. What do you think you're doing? Get away from that gas, you fool. Lefty, stop and get him before he...
That's all I remember, Inspector, till I woke up here in the police station.
You dead sure about that?
Honest. If you'd only get my wife and ask her...
If it weren't for your wife, you might not be here, alive.
How's that?
You see, Morris, your wife notified us. After she overheard Kramer hold you up in the hall outside your apartment door. That's what saved your life. We've been looking for you and Kramer. We've had our eye on that big boy since he left jail.
You mean you believe me, Inspector?
Except for one point.
1 point?
Yep. And I want the straight goods, Morris. Did you really burn that letter?
Honest, Inspector, I told you. I'm sorry I ever saw the letter.
Okay, I believe you. But it's too bad. That letter would have told us where Kramer's friend hid all the money his gang stole before we sent him up the last time. Well, we run across that safe deposit vault someday, somewhere. You can go now, Morris.
Gee, thanks a million, Inspector. Inspector, thanks.
Oh, by the way, Morris, I got to be at 125th Street in 20 minutes. Run me up there, will you?
20 minutes? Gee, I'm sorry, Inspector Brogan. I couldn't make it in 20 minutes. You see, I'm cruising at strictly the legal speed limit from now on.
This is Katharine Hepburn. UNICEF, a future for every child. Write UNICEF, United Nations 10017,